Perfect as always. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this morning's regular meeting of the Mojave County Board of Supervisors. We're going to start the meeting this morning with an invocation by Pastor Tony Hendry, and if you would remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Supervisor Borelli. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me pray for you. Heavenly Father, as we open this County Supervisors meeting, we thank you that we still live in a country where we can openly and publicly come before you in prayer. We thank you that your Holy Spirit has gone before us and has prepared a way and is present with us now. We humbly ask for your wisdom and clarity, that your Holy Spirit would guide the discussions and the decisions, ensuring that the best interests of our communities are kept first and foremost. May there be compassion, civility, integrity, and love for one another in this meeting today as we all work together in unity to strengthen the wonderful communities in which we live, work, and raise our families. We ask these things in the name of Jesus, thankful for your many blessings in our lives. Amen. Thank you, Father.
Ladies and gentlemen, please face the flag of a country that has brought more prosperity to the world than mankind has ever known. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah. Carry on.
The Board of Supervisors may, by motion, recess into executive session to receive legal advice from the Board's attorneys on any item contained in this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, A3, 4, and 7. Looking for a motion and action to call for an executive session to be held on August 18th, 2025 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
With that motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll move to official business to come before the board. Discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Attorney Davis.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Committee and or legislative reports. Supervisor Lettman.
I have none.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I attended the County Board of Health meeting where our agenda was actually kind of a bummer agenda. We looked over the response to the overdose committee, the child fatality review, and the mortality, the public health suicide mortality rate. So you can imagine what a splendid meeting that was, but I was there to keep an eye on it for you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Borelli.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Martin.
Nothing to report, but I'd like to make a point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Today, attending from Oklahoma are my two grandsons, Logan and Jace. Will you guys stand up?
All right. Welcome.
They came out here last Wednesday, attended the public meeting out in Golden Valley. And one of the reasons that we scheduled them out here at this time is I wanted them to see how government and the people we serve interact. So they got to go see how that works. They're going to get to see how the Board of Supervisors works with what we do today. And like I say, I think it's a good education for them. And it gives them an idea. When they go back home, they can tell their friends what their grandfather does. Thank you.
Certainly glad to have them with us. I attended the Workforce Development Board meeting, and that wasn't quite as a bummer. They're doing some pretty good job. Good stuff there. We'll move to, there's no high ground report. We're going to take that off of the agenda. County Manager's report, nothing?
Good morning, Chairman, board members, no report.
Okay, thank you. We have one proclamation. Approve the proclamation declaring August 1st through August 7th of 2025 as National WIC Breastfeeding Week.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. Before we get into consent, we're going to move up item number 47. 47 has to deal with the 2025 Mojave County General Plan. I'm going to open up the public hearing. This is a public hearing. discussion and possible action regarding approve the adoption of Mojave County Ordinance 2025-003, a request to adopt the 2025 Mojave County General Plan to replace the 2015 Mojave County General Plan as required by Arizona revised statutes. Attorney Davis, am I allowed to have staff give the slideshow presentation before we get into the people that have signed up to speak during public hearing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'd like to have Development Services Department come up and go through their slideshow. Then we'll go into all of the folks that have signed up to speak during public hearing. Can this be done in a public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, my interpretation of a public hearing is that anything that is said during the walls of the public hearing is testimony towards the item. I think it could be heard. If you want to recess, that's option.
That's my option too. I'm going to leave it. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity. We're very grateful to be here in front of you today. It's been a long road that we've traveled on, and it's not over yet. We're going to continue to work to update the general plan and get you an approved document. Just to kind of give you a brief overview of our process, and then I'll let Matthew Gunderson, our planning and zoning manager, kind of go through some of the major updates that we made in the plan. We first brought this to the board in March of 2024 to approve the plan that we had in order to update the plan. After that, we held several community meetings throughout the county starting in May of 2024. We held community meetings in Colorado City, Beaver Dam, Lake Havasu, Topak, Golden Valley, Dolan Springs, White Hills, and Meadview area, Yucca, Kingman, Wickiup, Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley, and Valley Vista. We did have a few of those locations had quite a bit of turnout. Some of them did not have quite a bit of turnout, but we did get some good input and feedback from those meetings. April of this year, 2025, we had a completed draft plan that we sent to stakeholder agencies as required by state statute. We sent them to all the adjacent cities, counties, state agencies. We did receive some comments saying that they've received and are looking at the plan, but did not receive any comments from any of those agencies when we sent it out to review for them. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew Gunderson to kind of go over some slides of the major updates on the plan.
All right. So just a kind of a quick update of the general plan. So the general plan is a document that we use. So Development Services has or Planning and Zoning specifically has the general plan, the zoning ordinance, and the land division regulations that we use as we do our decision making and reviews as we go through. So this general plan is required by statute to update every 10 years. So that's we're going through that process now. So first, I'm going to go through some of the areas and the changes to the maps. That's kind of the biggest portion of the changes that we made were to these land use maps. Some of you were on the board, not all of you. A few years ago, we used to have several area plans throughout the county. Several years ago, we had when someone would come in for a general plan amendment, they'd have to update the area plans as well. And so a few years ago, we took those area plans and merged them into the maps within our general plan so that they only had to go through that amendment. They only have to amend one document instead of two as they would do those map revisions. And so now we're trying to go through in an effort to update those maps now to what the communities want to see and what we've seen growth and development go. So this first map is the scenic area, and on all of these we have the 2015, the old version on the left, and then the 2025 update on the right. So this is scenic. Scenic is one of those areas that did have an area plan. So a lot of these colors, the yellows, the browns and oranges, are urban density, so low density, medium, and high density residential. in Scenic, there's currently one subdivision to my knowledge that has any lot sizes that are smaller than 1 acre. And that's that little on the right, the brown area. You can see it's a RO zoning south of Elbow Canyon Road. And that extends north of Elbow Canyon Road as well into that orange area. So that's one subdivision that had a preliminary plat. They've done one phase final plat for that subdivision. So we left that area. Everything else in that Scenic area is 1 acre residential lots or larger. And the comments that we got was to leave that area 1 acre lots or larger. So that's what that green area is. The green is our suburban development area. So suburban development is lots between 1 and 5 acres in size. So that better fit what the community wanted to see out there. The remaining red and pink that you see running mostly north-south, that's Scenic Boulevard. So that's the main road leading down through Scenic. So we did leave those commercial designations along Scenic Boulevard. So for a lot of those parcels are vacant. Some of them do have some commercial uses, but if there is to be commercial development in Scenic, along Scenic Boulevard was the best fit, and again, in line with those comments that we received. The next area is going to be Beaver Dam and Littlefield. Again, we see a lot of yellow and orange and brown for some of those higher densities. But again, most of the residences that are existing out there are on larger lots. As we go to the west of Highway 91 there, we left that the same. We did receive a comment from some of the folks up there that they are working on development kind of along I-15 there, and they were shaping that development around the existing general plan designations. And then north of that, the yellow area, that's low-density residential. Those are smaller lots up in there, and so we left that low-density residential as well. But moving to the east as you get closer to the gorge on the way into St. George in Utah, we changed that area to a suburban development area to better match the existing development and the comments that we received. Here we have the Yucca area. And so the Yucca area is one of those areas that we also had an area plan with. We did receive comments about the goals and policies of that area plan. So we did incorporate the goals and policies that were specific to the Yucca area plan into the general plan. Some of those, there's a lot of overlap with the area plan goals and policies, and so some of them were already in there, but we did add some of those Yucca specific ones. As far as the land use map goes, though, we had some areas of more urban densities with commercial pockets. The majority of the comments that we received at our meeting in Yucca and after the meeting were to kind of get rid of some of those areas, those commercial development proposals, as well as some of the commercial recreation, which is this green color here off to the side. And so we changed all of this to a rural development area. So rural development area is going to be parcels that are 5 acres or larger within the general plan. And so those were the majority of the comments that we received. We did receive comments that any commercial or industrial should be kept along the I-40 there. And so we didn't make changes along I-40. Those changes were more interior to the Yucca area as you go down Alamo Road, running south.
Mr. Gunderson, if you would point out current versus what's recommended on the right and left for the audience, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. So again, so the old is going to be on the left. So the 2015 version is on the left there. And then on the right is the 2025 update. So now we get into Golden Valley. So Golden Valley is one that we made a lot of changes to. And so most of it being along Highway 68. So again, a lot of the comments that we received were for Golden Valley were 1 acre lots or larger. That's what they wanted to see. We did receive mixed comments. There was a lot of comments on if there needs to be commercial, keep it along the highway. And we also received comments that were we don't want a grocery store in we don't want commercial in Golden Valley. And so what we did was we took a look at the zoning designations that existed already along Highway 68. So this gray color on the left, so again, the left is the 2015 version. This kind of grayish color that runs along Highway 68 is an urban development area. So an urban development area is a pretty broad category that spans from, you know, your low, medium, and high density residential all the way up through manufacturing. And so we took a lot of that away. A lot of that gray area was vacant. And so we changed a lot of the vacant land that had agricultural residential zoning down to that suburban development area, that green color. So that's suburban development area, 1 to 5 acre lots for residential. Well, we did leave all the parcels that had existing commercial zoning designations. We left those there. And that's the red color that you see still along Highway 68. And we'll get into, so this is the Dorado area. Again, so 2015 version on the left, the 2025 version on the right. So initially, when we had our first subcommittee meeting for the Golden Valley area, the comments that we received as staff was to change all of this to the suburban development area. And so that was staff's proposal at that subcommittee meeting. At that initial meeting, the subcommittee was not opposed to that recommendation by staff. After that first subcommittee meeting we received an alternate proposal for this area along with a petition. I apologize. Which we presented to the subcommittee at a later meeting. And the subcommittee at that point iterated that they liked the updated version and to make that change. So that this version on the right for the 2025 is what was ultimately presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission and was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission onto the board. So with this update, the biggest change is they added a suburban residential area along the perimeter of this Dorado area. So for that change, that would be those larger lots along the perimeter where they are adjacent to existing 1 acre lots, and then the interior is low density residential. They took out the medium density residential. And so that 2025 version on the right is what was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is, again, the Kingman area. So this is along I-40 heading east of Kingman. This is the location of the new currently being worked on interchange. And so we received some requests for commercial and medium density residential, as well as a proposed road. Right now, the city road plans is the interchange connecting to Louise Avenue, right there just south of the interchange. This proposed road would continue from Louise and come down and kind of cut across where that general commercial is on the right and connect all the way to Wallapai Mountain Road. And so they would like to see some additional type of development along that road. And that seemed fitting with the new interchange that was going in. I believe there's also some more residential and commercial type development along that interchange within city limits. And then here we have the South St. George area. And so this is an area just south of the Utah-Arizona border as you're coming through the gorge from the Beaver Dam Littlefield area. There is a road, I think it might be a state highway. It's a road that goes just along the border. And there's a couple places where there are exits to that with an existing residential development with residential lots that are right up against that state line. And so in meeting with Supervisors Lettman and Lingenfelter, this proposal was discussed to add an urban development area on the south side, on the Arizona side of that border, so that, you know, as St. George continues to grow and expand, that we have that ability to grow and develop within Mojave County as well. you'll see on that 2025 version on the right, there's a couple of blue areas. Those are heavy industrial because there are existing mines in those locations. We want to make sure that, hey, we are aware that there is mining in some of these areas and to have a more intense land use designation in those areas. And then as we get into the body of the general plan, there were a lot fewer changes made in here, but we did alter some things and try and bring things up to where we think we are currently as a county. One of those is development near city limits. So we updated our policies in a couple areas to show that proposed development that's within 3 miles of an incorporated city should be required to develop to urban development standards. So those urban development standards are going to be water and wastewater, so sewer systems to all of the lots within those developed areas. Being the biggest ones, we're looking at paved roads, sidewalks, those kinds of things that we expect in urban development areas, so that as development that we see kind of on the periphery of city limits, that they have those similar type of development and amenities. One of the big ones that we took a look at in the general plan was water usage. So with our goal, there was a current goal in the old version with pretty vague wording, and so we wanted to update that wording a little bit. So the new goal is to monitor and protect the quantity and quality of water resources throughout the county. And then adding in some of those policies where we're going to coordinate with ADEQ and ADWR and utility providers as we research the availability of water resources, and also making sure that we're cooperating with water budgeting as these different agencies monitor and look at the various aquifers, that we would coordinate with them in that process. Currently, state statute doesn't give the county a lot of authority as far as regulation of wells and some of those water resources, but we wanted to make sure that water is a concern to the county, and so that as future decisions are made, we have something to point to in the general plan that says, hey, we want to work and we want to develop these kinds of things. Another one of those is to promote water conservation and encourage the use of alternative sources. So utilizing water conservation measures and encouraging water conservation for commercial development and residential development, as well as some of the water recharge projects that the county is currently working on, but also making sure that those are in feasible and beneficial locations. Another area that we looked at is renewable energy. A couple years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, we updated where we allow solar and wind projects, those renewable energy projects within Mojave County. Again, the old wording was pretty vague, so I think those changes still aligned with the general plan, but we wanted to update the general plan to reflect some of those changes as well. And so the new goal is to encourage the efficient use of appropriate alternative energy sources in conducive locations. We want to make sure that in those policies that these types of facilities are in locations that are compatible with adjacent development, and also the use of energy that's beneficial for the residents and consumers within Mojave County. And then this is our last slide. This is one of the big updates we make each time we do this is to the kind of the statistical data of throughout the county. And so here is the population growth that we pull from the U.S. Census Bureau. As you can see, Mojave County continues to grow. That percentage of increase has certainly declined over the past 30 years, but we definitely continue to grow within city limits and outside of city limits. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Gunderson. We're going to get into public testimony under this public hearing, but before I do, I'm going to close it briefly. I'm going to close the public hearing briefly. I just seen, and I want to give special recognition, I just saw that our own Congressional District 9 Congressman Paul Gosar and his staff, Penny Pugh, is in the audience. I wanted to give you the recognition that you deserve. Thank you for being with us today, sir. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing once again, item number 47, and we're going to get into public testimony. First speaker is Danielle Nagy. And Kathy Joy, you're on deck. We have quite a few speakers, so I'm going to limit everybody to the 3-minute mark pretty strictly. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisors. Good morning. Danielle Olikek, Golden Valley. At this time, I respectfully ask that you do not approve the plan at this time due to the following reasons. The subcommittee that was appointed is not a fair representation of the communities they serve. The subcommittee is made up of 5 planning and zoning commissioners, so they're technically making recommendations to themselves and then voting on their own recommendations. We brought this up early on in the general plan process, but it was never changed. We did address it, but I know you guys are a new board, and so I'd like to see that sent back and you guys come up with a better representation committee for the general plan update. If you look back at past general plans, it was made up of a much more diverse committee to help represent those communities. Number 2, the Dorado plan should have reverted back to the suburban land use based off of a previous resolution set by a former board. We're asking that you honor past agreements for the integrity of Mojave County and for the integrity of the stipulations that you guys put on resolutions. If we can't trust now that you're going to honor past agreements, how can we trust that in the future Mojave County is not going to uphold future agreements? Also, if large developers are allowed to submit changes free of application fees, shouldn't all property owners be noticed and informed that they can go through this loophole too and have their properties land use changed? I think it should be a fair opportunity for everybody, especially every property owner who was denied a rezone in the past due to spot zoning, because that's one of the main reasons why they do this land use amendment. And number 3, most importantly, the changes that were made to the Golden Valley area on the January 15th meeting were made during a meeting that was improperly noticed and in violation of open meeting laws. I do want to thank the county attorneys for acknowledging our open meeting law complaint, and I do hope that you find a fair resolution to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Joy? Kathy Joy? The first speaker was Danielle Nagy. It's all right. I'll look for your name and you don't get a second chance.
That's okay.
Right?
Thank you.
Daniel
Nagy, 3621 North Horse Mesa Road, Golden Valley. And I would just like to say, against the Dorado, the project that they're going to have. And why that is I believe that we moved out here, like a lot of people did, for a 1 acre or more, lots of land. And you keep getting them to where they're going to get smaller and smaller. It's going to be like doggone Henderson compared to Las Vegas. That's what I keep referring it to. When everything starts getting more compact. You know, and it's not good for the people who really moved out here in the beginning. It just, I'm against it. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Joy? Arthur Ramos, you're on deck.
Good morning. Can you pull that up? Quite sure how to. Well, it's the center one. That's the Dorado project in Golden Valley. I was sent that in August of last year by Matthew Grunderson, and it shows it reverted back to the suburban development. I can give you all that at the end if you like. Anyway, good morning, gentlemen. Kathy Joy, 3620 North Mormon Flat Road, Golden Valley. In 2024, when the residents of Golden Valley were asked for input for shaping the 2025 general plan, hundreds of signatures were gathered and hundreds of emails were sent to you. The residents clearly voted against Angle Homes Dorado project. We were told the general plan was changed to reflect our wishes on trying to keep Golden Valley as rural as possible. Hence that map right there that Matthew sent me. Move forward to January 2025. Planning and Zoning held a meeting with the developers, which which the residents had no idea was happening. As you all are aware, the open meeting law was broken. It was in violation. The Dorado area plan was never reverted back to suburban land use after it expired, which it should have been. I am asking that today, if you pull the general plan, please, let's get rid of this Dorado project before you do that. You know how we feel about this. We have the Pravada, the old Pravada, which is now going to be Golden Valley Ranch. That's over 5,000 acres that's going to be developed. Golden Valley can't handle this. Please scrap the Dorado project, 3,000 to 4,000 houses. We don't need that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Arthur Ramos. John Gall, you're on deck.
Morning. Thank you. Yeah, I'm in opposition of passing this plan, the 10-year plan, the way that it sets because of that project that they want to build on. I live on Agua Fria, right across the street from what they want to build, and there's no consistency with the neighborhood. None of that neighborhood looks like that concentrated housing that they want to put. Yes, they have the perimeter at 1 acre lots. However, if it was all 1 acre lots, then that would be consistent with the surrounding community. And as the speaker previous said that, because you've heard, most of you guys up here have heard how the majority of the people that are directly across the street from this project, how we feel. We've been here numerous times, and you've heard our objections. The gentleman has said, oh, we listen to the people in Yucca, and we listen to the people in the other areas, how they wanted 1 acre areas, and they changed them back to that. But in the Golden Valley, they heard us feel that way about it, and they didn't change it. So I don't know what's up with that, but consider that when you're discussing this project. And every time I went to the zoning and planning meeting, and a lot of the zoning and the planning people on the board there was telling us how we wanted more neighborhoods like that, and the developers keep telling us how we want more neighborhoods like that, and I'm saying, well, who's we? They keep telling me what I want and us what we want. And as you know, the community surrounding that area, about the rest of the 10-year plan, like to keep all the businesses along the 68, I agree. But that project, it doesn't go with the community, in my opinion, and in a lot of our opinions. So we were hoping that you guys would decide to throw it out of there and come up with a different plan. We liked the plan when it wasn't there. That project on Agua Fria, that Dorado project, without that, we'd be all on board, I think. I can't speak for everyone but myself. So anyway, please consider it. Please pull it out of there, and they can wait 10 years and do it again next time. Thank you.
John Gall. Angel Lund, you're on deck.
Good morning, Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisors. John Gall, Arizona Land Water Resources, 2701 Andy Devine, Kingman, Arizona. I represent several large landowners from the Arizona Strip area, Beaver Dam, Littlefield, to Fort Mojave, Golden Valley, the Kingman area, and I'm in favor of the changes to the general plan. I was privileged to serve as the Planning and Zoning co-chair of the 2005 general plan update. I understand what a contentious and difficult job you have to make everybody in the county happy. But I'd just like to point out that Mr. Gunderson's comments, if you looked at the comments in the slide presentation that he did, the county went from 25% growth to 7% growth to 4% growth. And if we come back in 10 years, we could be at a negative growth. And if the county doesn't grow, it's not going to develop and be financially and economically viable for the people that live there. As the cities continue to experience rapid growth, the county could suffer. So I just ask that you take consideration to not just the public comments, but also the overall benefit and public welfare of the county for everyone. Thank you very much.
Angel Lund. Gordon Morris, you're on deck.
Angel Lund, Golden Valley, 4141 North Dragoon. That is on the northwest side. On the northwest side of Dorado. You could please show that. Yeah, however it goes. Okay, this is what we were presented in August. This is what we were presented in August. It does not show the Dorado at all. It shows what over 400 of the Golden Valley citizens asked for and received. Since that time, matter of fact, here's the top of it, just so you can see that it actually came from the planning department, right? Suddenly, we are presented with this. I don't know if that should be upside down. Okay. Suddenly, we're presented with this. We had no idea. No one told us. No one informed us. They didn't even bother to let us know they were going to talk about it. We feel we've been cheated. We feel we have been lied to. Another thing, there's 402 allocations of water left for GVID. Can you show that, please? This is the GVID number 3 well. You'll notice it's been going down by a foot a year. We don't have the water. There is no way we have the water to do another 4,000 homes that takes water out of GVID. Here's the other GVID well. You can see where it dropped. That's when we lost the well. But even it is going down. Where are they going to get the water from for these 4,000 homes that they want to put in? Can you show that? This is a plot of the current wells in the Sacramento Valley Water Subdivision, or however you'd put that. I went through everything. There are users and users and users of our water, including Kingman. Kingman, I understand, is even putting in another well that's going to draw out of our water. We don't have the water. We don't want the subdivisions and all the problems that come with that. Thank you.
Gordon Morris. Gordon Morris, and then Patrick Devlin, you're on deck.
Gordon Morris, North Concho, Golden Valley. Good morning, Mr. Lingenfelder and board. I've been up here too many times. You guys do a fine job, but I've lost all confidence with planning and our group that put this together. Ron said, Mr. Gould, I'm sorry, a while back that should have been pulled. He addressed, it was a year ago maybe, or a little more, he addressed Scott, check into it. It should have been pulled. Now it got slid back in. Most of you recognize me, I'm sure, because I come to all the meetings that I can. I go to the planning meetings as much as I can. I go to land use and recreation. But I was never informed about this last vote that our planning commission meeting was, or I would have been there. We had 3 people stand up and want to put that Dorado back in. You would have had 10 stand up and say don't. We weren't informed. It wasn't posted properly. I understand there's other meetings, other problems. I don't know the dates or the times. I'm sorry, guys. I've lost all credibility in the planning group. And the planning department is directing them. So now I'm losing that. And I'm a past employee of another county. I dealt with these issues as my job. I don't understand why it continues. I've asked that we be better represented on that. Well, their term isn't up. I've brought this subject to you guys a couple times that there's a back door. I'm not happy with back doors. We have to close that door. We have to announce our meetings. And you can't bring ideas in that the public's not aware of and then pass them. And then the public can't do anything about it other than give you guys a hard time. And I appreciate all of you. I don't like coming up here and giving you a hard time. I'm gonna go back and sit down. I am absolutely flabbergasted that they put it back in after Scott told us at a Golden Valley meeting, a lot of people present, that it was out. And we weren't informed it was going in. Sorry, guys. I hope you can straighten it out.
Patrick Devlin. Patrick Devlin. And then Don Pistorino, you're on deck.
Hello, my name is Patrick Devlin. I'm a Golden Valley resident at 2282 South Verde Road in Golden Valley. My family and I oppose the adoption of the 2025 general plan as it's currently constructed. To be specific, we feel that large developments such as Dorado and Golden Valley Ranch will harm the character of Golden Valley. We request that new developments, new housing be on 1 acre plus. If thousands of new homes are built, the population of our town could more than double. Quiet country roads such as Chino and Shinneram Drive would see significantly more traffic. Where would the money come from to pay for the extra teachers, policemen, and firemen needed for this population explosion? We are also concerned about the depletion of the Sacramento Valley aquifer, especially if drought conditions worsen. To conclude, my family and I like the character of Golden Valley as it is. We escaped the hustle and bustle at the East Coast for what we thought would be a rural lifestyle. Please take our concerns into consideration and remove these large developments from the 2025 Mojave County General Plan. Thank you.
Don Pistorino, followed by Stephen Pistorino.
Don Pistorino, 4873 North Teddy Roosevelt Road, Golden Valley. My husband and I do not want the Angel Homes Dorado development in our neighborhood. We paid for the Golden Valley Improvement District construction. We don't want hordes of people moving in and sucking up our water. The Mojave County General Plan, as it pertains to Golden Valley, is a big fat lie because it assumes an unlimited water supply and water allotments. There are only 402 water allotments. If Angel Homes buys up all the allotments, other property owners who want to connect to the system will be unable to do so. Is Mojave County going to drill more wells? Is Angel Homes going to drill wells? Once you squander away our water, there's no going back. The most critical issue in Arizona and Mojave County is not jobs or housing, it's water. According to drought.gov, the entire state of Arizona is in a severe drought. Lake Powell is so depleted that experts are concerned about generating hydroelectric power at Glen Canyon Dam next year. Lake Mead and Hoover Dam face similar risks, and the Colorado River may potentially dry up in the Grand Canyon. I did not make that up. It was reported on the Phoenix News. You can find it on a NASA website and other places. The allocation of Colorado River water comes up again in 2026. And don't be surprised when you guys receive a smaller share. Arizona State University just released a report that groundwater is evaporating across the state, including Mojave County. Water availability depends entirely on the number of people and industries drawing from the well, the types of use, waste, weather and climate, and conservation. It takes decades to replace groundwater. Currently, the city of Phoenix is slowly sinking, partly due to groundwater depletion. This is also happening in places like India and other countries. Please send the Mojave County General Plan back to the drawing board so that it reflects reality. I see a lot of wishful thinking going on, and it simply is not feasible. Thank you.
Stephen Pistorino.
Stephen Pistorino, where she lives. If you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, batter them with your bullshit. That's an old saying, which holds true. We've lived out for 40 years. In fact, our land sits on a 1960s development that went broke, as so many others went broke. But I'm going to point out money, because that's all you're really interested in, money. Let's look at things that are successful, that people want. Davis Camp, they upgraded. Now they make a ton of money 9 months out of the year. The $1 million homes being sold on 1+ acre lots on Landon Drive down in, going to Laughlin. I don't know if you guys ever been there. They have leveled the washes and built $1 million homes. Doesn't affect anybody's lifestyle. Now comes in Angle Home. They buy up all these cheap tax liens, and you listen to these people. Instead of doing what people want, which is land, everybody here likes their independence and freedom. We don't want to give that up. Is Angle Homes going to provide $10 million bond to put water and sewer in, or are you going to let them piggyback? Are you going to let them piggyback on an existing system? We don't want high-density housing, because if we did, we would live in Bullhead City or Kingman or Laughlin or Lake Havasu. Nobody wants it. But you guys are, instead of thinking about what's successful, building lots with with a lot of land, you guys go with high density housing that nobody wants, and the community can't support it. But you already know that, because I know you guys are all interested in money, and thank God the founding fathers did not listen to lobbyists. And you wouldn't have a water issue if you guys didn't approve that power dam up there that takes all the water for 40 jobs. And where does that electricity go? It doesn't even go to us. So what benefit do we get as residents? What benefit do we get from it? Nothing. 40 jobs, and it takes all our water. The decisions you make here will affect us 10 years from now. And when you're done ruining this area, you're going to go run off to your rural ranches. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trish Call. Jim Hellwig, you're on deck. It's okay, take your time. This is Trish Call, and we have Jim Hellwig on deck.
Okay, my name, of course, is Trish Call. I live at 4398 North Carrizo. I am right near where all of this is going to happen. I have lived in Texas, Florida, Oklahoma, California, in big cities. I came here, and instead of having to listen to my neighbor sneeze or cough and whatever, I actually am sitting on an acre of land that I can take care of and that I don't have a lot of issues with. It makes a lot of sense to me that we should preserve
the rural areas that we have in the United States. We're no different than the national parks. We want to protect things that we want for our lives to be better. By allowing Angle Homes to come in and add all of these extra houses, you are now reducing our lifestyle that we came here for. Thank you.
Jim Helwig. Kathy Calhoun, you're on deck.
Morning, everyone. I've been a property owner in Golden Valley continuously since 1985. I used to do my shopping at Buck's Market, which had a better opportunity for fresh food than we have now. So we've gone backwards in 40 years. I'm in favor of the general plan as it's been amended. I think you did a great job. I think it's a great compromise. We have to remember the incredible amount of job creation that will bring us and how it will go through the economy locally. Also, the massive property tax increases to the budget will help in that manner. Excuse me. I also want to acknowledge the well-organized group here, but I want to remind you that they are not everyone. And there are people that would like a nice home in a nice designed area that's less than an acre, that has underground utilities, pavement, sidewalks paid by the developer, deed restrictions to protect the quality of our life in those subdivisions. And please don't forget that. The last thing I would like to say is this thing about the 1 acre zoning and keeping that. I want to, as an example, discuss a little bit about Crystal Springs Estates. It's a 172 lot subdivision on the northwest corner of Chino and Laguna. They are significantly less than 1 acre lots. And that's 172 lots. And that's near this development that everyone is arguing about. You could make the case that the lots that are less than 1 acre in size are common for the area and have been for a long time. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Kathy Calhoun. Brian Burke, you're on deck.
Kathy Calhoun, 4085 North Concho, Golden Valley. I am literally right in the middle of this Dorado, and I oppose it. I'm worried about the traffic, and we moved out here to retire in peace, not with people all around us. And we tried to get along with them guys and ask for just 1 acre minimum lots. They flat said no. So they're not willing to compromise any more than we want to. So I think there should be more compromise from the other side. Thank you.
Brian Burke. Brian Burke, followed by Bruce Hopkins, you're on deck.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Brian Burke. I live on 3580 North Mobile Road, and I'm recently moved here from Oregon, and prior to that, California. And drought is the big issue I'm sure we're all aware of. And just to let you guys know what's happening in Oregon, it does apply here. Basically, Oregon, they've got the area I'm from, Southern Oregon, got 57 inches hydrological rain, and all the wells are dying and drying up, including mine, which was an artesian well. They've invited all the wineries up to Oregon, and this may not seem to matter to a lot of people, but those wineries in Napa Valley specifically, they drilled so deep down into the ground, they hit salt water. That's the dirty little secret that everybody should know. And so they've got their millions of dollars of money, and they've bought out the county commissioners up in Oregon, and basically they're just moving on in. And I've left all that, and also Riverside. That's another long story, but I moved to Golden Valley specifically because it's 1 acre plots of land. I love rural people. I love the rural lifestyle. And developments just move in, they destroy they increase your traffic accidents and cause all kinds of infrastructure problems. And that's why I moved to a rural area. And I've been following this for a good year now, and I wasn't very happy with how the county flip-flopped and went along with the developers, and the local people were not even allowed to know about it until they found out about it, but it was like a done deal. And that's why we're here today. I appreciate you giving me this platform to talk about it. But that's why we're here today, is because that flip-flop I don't think was transparent, and that's what governments have to be, is transparent. And especially things that relate to water, because water is life, water is gold. And so I don't know a lot about this county yet because I moved here recently, but I plan as an information IT person, we are going to be an organized Golden Valley, and we are going to have a website, and we're also going to form a Mojave County Advisory Council. And we're going to, all these maps and all this information that I've got that's been put before me today is very informative. And that's going to be available to all our citizens in Golden Valley, because information and knowledge is power, and we want to remain rural. We do not want outside Las Vegas big banker money, just like Napa Valley is Boston banker money. We don't want that money to flood in. So thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Bruce Hopkins, and then Connie Pori, excuse me, you're on deck.
Good morning, board members. My name is Bruce Hopkins. I live on Chino out in Golden Valley. It seems to me that a few of you, now this is a if your shoe fits thing, it seems to me that if a few of you are ready to violate your oath of office, you know, the one that states your job is to protect the life and liberty and safety of the people in the county. That includes Golden Valley. Could be that it's because your salary is based on the population of the county. That is the only reason I see, if you vote for these thousands of homes here, as I've said before, they will be building a ghost town. Don't sacrifice Golden Valley. Thank you.
Connie?
My name is Connie Holtz. I live at 4455 North Laguna Road in Golden Valley. We have been here at every meeting we have attended, and even meetings where the subcommittee person for our area didn't attend. And you've heard all of us say over and over again what we would like and what we wouldn't like to see, and it seems to fall on deaf ears when it comes to Golden Valley, but not when it comes to the rest of the county. And that's really frustrating as a constituent, to know that just because there's a big developer that wants to make a lot of money, that community's voices don't get to be heard, and they don't get nothing. They don't change it they don't seem to listen to them. I would also like to point out that I have been at every meeting, and I've seen the new proposal that was put forward And even the development services people that get up here and speak, they say they're being disingenuous. Because if you look at that map, they say every time that they have put acre houses all the way around that. But if you take a moment and you look at that map, it doesn't go all the way around it. They in that commercial area, they didn't put a 1 acre buffer there. On the other side of Teddy Roosevelt, look at that map. There is no buffer there. So even your development services is being disingenuous to you and to everybody when they get up here and they say that there's an acre buffer around there. There's not. There's not. And I would really appreciate if you all would send this back, include the community in the planning process, which was not done in this. I appreciate your time.
Christine Pfeiffer. Christine Pfeiffer. Tina Ramos, would you like to speak, or would you said you gave your time to Danielle? Tina Ramos, would you like to speak?
Thank you for having me. My name is Tina Ramos. I live 300 feet, actually 25 from the proposed development. And as you are aware, we don't want it there. But the problem is that it wasn't brought up to us as a community the proper way. You went through back doors. You went through back doors. We definitely need to have the doors closed. I'm here because I love this community and I want it to remain rural. So please take that into account. Thank you.
Jennifer Esposito. Isabel Fildas, you're on deck. I'll give you 6 minutes. She's had two people delegate their time to her, so.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Esposito, Golden Valley property owner in the Golden Valley District, Water District, where the contentious change has been made. I'd like to thank the guy who brought up the thing about dazzling you with bullshit. Because what I noticed immediately on the presentation was that the only contentious part of the general plan was left off of the population increase. So let me tell you what the population actually has done in Golden Valley. According to Tammy Ursenbach with Development Services, Economic Development, in 2001, the U.S. Census said that the population in Golden Valley was 9,685. By 2023, it had declined to 7,999. The population in Golden Valley is going down, not up. We don't even know if we can sell the houses that are being built currently. But the reality is that this proposed subdivision is within the Golden Valley Improvement District. And as has been pointed out, there are only 402 water allocations left to sell. So we don't even have the water for them to build this development. But as Danielle pointed out, this is really about honoring past agreements in the same way that you're legally required to honor the agreement that you have with the old roads thing that's changed, okay? The reason that this property was reverted back in the draft general plan is because a previous board had put stipulations on this property that if nothing was built within 20 years or something, it would revert back. You have a legal obligation to revert it back. 3 of you were not on this board when Angle Homes came and asked for rezone for this property. But as Supervisor Gould pointed out, when that rezone was denied, no one would reasonably think that building a house across the street would count as developing that property. So therefore, it does need to legally be reverted back. Additionally, they said that they changed it and put it back on because they collected petition signatures. They collected 30 signatures. You know where those 30 signatures came from? The existing Angle Homes development ships estates on the other side of the highway. During the process, Danielle and the people wearing the yellow shirts collected hundreds of signatures that said that they wanted it to be 1 acre lots. Now, for the guy that says, well, what about all those people that want to live in a planned community? I'd like to remind this board that on Teddy Roosevelt, across from the Angle Homes development with the horrible, stinky, open pit septic system, that a previous incarnation of this board has already approved something like 270-something homes. So now we're going to get 270-something homes in a planned subdivision there. We're going to get 230 to 260 in phase 1 of the one on Shinneramp. There is no lack of that type of housing in Golden Valley. But there are multiple other issues. For instance, the issue with the septic was brought up at Planning and Zoning. And they asked Angle Homes what their plan was for that subdivision, and Tyler said something to the effect of, like, I haven't gotten that far yet because we haven't even hired an engineer. So if they haven't even hired an engineer to figure out what they're going to do with the wastewater treatment plant for 3,000 to 4,000 homes, this is a 10-year general plan. You can always revisit this in 10 years because they don't even have a plan for what they're going to do with the sewage. Okay? I mean, this whole thing is just an absolute nightmare. But the bottom line is, open meeting law was violated. It was violated by the people on planning and zoning. Every single person on that subcommittee who violated open meeting law should be removed from planning and zoning. Moreover, because none of those meetings were set for action to be taken, it's a miracle we even have a general plan, which means staff acted outside the legal jurisdiction of the advice of the subcommittee. So somebody on staff needs to be fired. Somebody needs to be demoted. Someone needs to have something put in their personnel file that they can't get a raise for the next 5 years. This is absolute shit show. It should never have happened. The majority of meetings were not even properly agendized. Now, I know that Danielle filed a complaint with the county attorney, and I filed my complaint with the open meeting law enforcement team, which has yet to rule. Now, if they do rule that open meeting law was violated, it requires that everything done is null and void and has to be redone. So my suggestion to you is not to refer it back to the same idiots that screwed it up the first time and to create a new subcommittee. There are 3 new people on this board who weren't here when this process was started. So you need to appoint someone with fresh eyes who's not giving advice to themselves, who can redo this process from the beginning and do it right with the community input. But the reality is this Dorado subdivision has to be reverted back by law because that's what the previous board said. Now, in 10 years, we can go and we can look at this again when they have a plan for what they're going to do about how they're going to buy 3,000 or 4,000 water allotments and how they're going to deal with all that sewage. But there is no plan. So you have an obligation to do the right thing and either send this back and have it done right or amend this and put it back to the way it was on the draft general plan. The rest of it, I don't think anyone in Golden Valley has a problem with. We like to keep the commercial up on the, the highway and all of that stuff. We're okay with that. But we have been railroaded. And people like myself within the GVID, if you take those water allotments and give them all to Angle, you give us legal standing to sue you for depriving us of our property value. Thank you.
George Loya. George Loya. Stephen Robinson, you're on deck.
George Loya, 6660 West Agua Fria Drive, Golden Valley, Arizona. Honorable Supervisors, I would like to ask you to make environmental assessment on this property to make sure that what we're doing is going to be doing right. We already have the one on Harmony on Shinnerup over there. I think that's going to be great. But let's see what environmental impact would do to our community. I don't see any other choices. I hope you feel the same way. They didn't even tell us about it. That the first time last year, they sent us notices, people who live within 300 feet of the property. This year, they didn't send anything. They didn't put any notices on the property. As far as I'm concerned, I think the planning commission needs to be replaced. Thank you.
Stephen Robinson. Travis Pennington, you're on deck.
Stephen Robinson, Golden Valley. A quick and down and dirty dozen points. The general plan's goal is to manage growth, not eliminate it. You notice that they eliminated the highway corridor and turned it all into 1 acre lots. How many people want to live on a state highway backed up against your property? Second, it's not a rural area. Golden Valley is an undeveloped urban. We know that because we look at the 95 general plan that had over 45 square miles, including the corridor and Privada, that was scheduled for urban growth. The other 30 or 40 square miles was the railroad land cut up into 1 1/4 and 2.5 acres. The 400 people who opposed this or any development in Golden Valley have one basic option: buy the land. After all, Article 2, Sections 1 and 2 of the Constitution and ARS 811C, the primacy of private property rights shall reign supreme in the decisions you make. As I said earlier, the 95 general plan had Dorado was part of that plan. It was reinserted after the 2002 plan that took away all but the corridor and Privada. They left Privada and they left the corridor as commercial. The Privada is under a 25-year development plan an agreement made in 2008. Contrary to some whose bias is clear, the USGS states there is enough water in the Sacramento Valley aquifer for over 1 million homes. But that includes Yucca. There's enough water for that. Half that water is in Golden Valley. Specifically, the GVID allocation process is a complete fraud. There is 2,350 acre-feet. Reserving water for people who might get it in the next 10, 20, 30 years, and they haven't in the last 35 years, is ridiculous. David McKay at the state ADWR said there's enough water and you don't worry about getting another designation until you're pumping out 2,350 acre-feet a year and propose it for the next 2 years. We pumped out less than 300 acre-feet last year to the residents. That's a 10% drop from 2023 because people are using less water with the price increase. If they reduce the price, that would help. If people want to live in rural areas, they have of Meadview, Dolan Springs, Wickiup, and 24 other rural communities. Golden Valley is between 2 major cities in the county. It is future growth area. Thank you.
Travis Pennington. Tyler Engel, you're on deck.
My name's Travis Pennington. I live at 2247 here in Kingman, Arizona. But
Can you speak into the microphone? Thank you, Travis.
yes. I'd like to, if it's possible, to show this. This right here is a clip from the general plan from 1995. So as early as 1995, here's a county document that showed this, basically the densities that we have now. Low density residential, which it still is today, and a large piece of medium density residential. And then today, this is what this is what we're proposing around the perimeter of our property. Sorry, didn't get distracted with this. Around the perimeter of it wasn't staff, it wasn't the citizens that came to us, came to Engel Homes and said, we think it would be good for you to run a perimeter. That was us. We are making that proposal, and we're hoping that it sticks, right? And that, just to put that in perspective, we've taken more than 10% of our property and approximately about 153 acres for that perimeter of 1 acre lots. And then we're asking the board to remove 160 acres of medium density, right? Think that could be apartments and condos, right? We're asking the board to remove that and take that, and we've also, there's a purple spot up here, up off Laguna. We've spoke with the fire department and sheriff's department, and this is the desired location. If there is a need for a future fire station or sheriff station, we've tried to incorporate that into our design. We've left this commercial here. We think a large residential community of this size is going to have needs, like future post offices, future doctor's offices, places to get your dog groom, maybe a gym. So that, just trying to give a little bit of explanation of what we're asking for and what we're hoping is able to stick and move forward with our development in Golden Valley. Thank you.
Tyler Engel.
My name is Tyler Engel. I'm the president of Engel Homes, 2800 Walpay Mountain Road. I'm speaking in favor of the general plan as a planning document that it is. It does have a lot of good generally accepted planning principles. It starts with asking, what do we need to plan for in the future, and how many people are there going to be in Mojave County for the next couple decades? And it quotes the 2023 Mojave County Needs Assessment study that says in the next 20 years, the unincorporated area is going to need anywhere from 10 to 50,000 dwelling units. So then the next question is, if we want Mojave County to grow, if it is going to grow, where do we want the houses to be? Where's the best places for the homes to be? And the plan addresses that. It should not be wildcat subdivisions that's sprawling here and there, which has kind of been happening with the land splits in the Golden Valley area. But it should be places that's infill, that has infrastructure, places that have paved roads, places that already have electricity. It actually says if you don't do that, it's more expensive for everybody. It's more expensive for the developer to service, to build, and it's more expensive for the county to service for emergency purposes, for schools, and for all of our safety. So I do support the plan. I think it has a lot of good things in there about the growth and planning for the growth. I know it is really easy to oppose someone that wants to do a subdivision in your backyard. I can see why they wouldn't want a subdivision perhaps to be near them, but we have to look at the long term. Where do we want the houses if not here? They do need to go somewhere. This has been in the general plan for a long time, and it will be professionally done. Once you do a land split of more than 5 parcels, that's considered a legal subdivision in Arizona, and we have to follow the subdivision rules, which includes all the studies, traffic studies. We have to do paved roads. That includes sewer. We would have to put in an Arizona-approved sewer plant. We have to control the flooding. None of that is done under the Wildcat subdivision, where you split 1 parcel down to 5. You have dirt roads. You put the rooftops there. You're creating impervious surfaces. You're increasing the flooding downstream, and there's no money to fix any of that. So the solution is to do engineered subdivisions, and we can't build affordable housing quick enough right now. They sell. The cheapest houses that we can build in Golden Valley and Kingman Valley right now, they sell right away. Where do we want our next 100 nurses and our next 100 teachers to live? In Wildcat subdivisions, where they're going to have problems crossing dirt roads, or in a subdivision? Thanks.
I'm going to close the public hearing. That was the last person we had to speak. Attorney Davis, I understand. It's my understanding, and maybe you could address both the legal aspects that were brought up during public testimony, but also if there are any changes other than the testimony we've heard in the Golden Valley area. If there's any other changes proposed to the 2025 general plan, those would also necessitate going back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that not correct?
Mr. Chairman, to your second point, yes. So there is the general plan statute does require that if the board has any changes that they wish to make to the general plan, those have to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's just a part of the statute. It is what it is. As far as the first point, I'll address that the county attorney's office did receive an open meeting complaint. We did review it. We substantiated the third element, which was that the subcommittee did not notice or agendize their meetings properly. As far as ways to rectify that, there was no legal action taken, so there's nothing that they did that could be voided or that could be ratified. That's the remedy for an open meeting complaint, is they'd have to ratify it within 30 days. But since no legal action was taken, there's nothing to ratify. But what the Board of Supervisors could do, and the options before you are to, you've heard the public testimony, you could send it back down as is. There's a plan in place for the Planning and Zoning Commission to rehear those 8 sub areas and rehear presentations and take in public comment on the plan. The board could pass the plan along as it is now and codified it for the next 10 years, or the board can make changes to the plan that they want to see done and do essentially option 1 and 2 together, send it back down, and make changes. Those committee hearings are reheld. The plan right now is for the full commission to hear them rather than a subcommittee and consider the changes the board wants. That would be an efficient way of doing things, but it's up to the board on what they want to do.
Thank you, Attorney Davis. Director Holtry, Mr. Gunderson, maybe you could come down to the podium and we'll get into board discussion. Supervisor Gould, I see you have a number of comments. Would you like to kick us off?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Holtry, page 39, policy 5.3, talks about higher noise levels in commercial areas in Dutch Flat. Where'd that come from? What are the noise levels now?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Gould. So that is the goal. That was pulled directly out of the Dutch Flat area plan. So I don't know the research behind those designations or those determinations, but that was one of those ones that was directly listed in the Dutch Flat area that wasn't otherwise listed in the general plan. So we wanted to make sure that that got incorporated into this version of the general plan.
Since I was one of the drafters of the Dutch Flat plan, but I don't remember. My 25-year memory is not that long. That struck me as interesting. Let's see, page 41, policy 6.1. It says that the county engineer may establish scenic route signing policy.
Supervisor Lingenfelter, or Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Gould. So the county does have a scenic roads and vistas policy. It's within the general plan, and then basically along scenic routes and vistas, the zoning ordinance doesn't allow billboards along those scenic routes and vistas. So we do have that type of policy currently in the general plan, but that.
So the engineer can designate those on his own without board approval?
It's done in the way we have it done, it's in the general plan, so the board approved it.
So the board would not have any say in how the engineer declaring scenic routes?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Gould. So the general plan actually isn't regulatory, so it would not give authority to the engineer to make those designations. It is on the board to make those designations. I believe we can take a look at the policy and make sure it's reading correctly. That would be, if that's something that you want us to take a look at.
And that's kind of my problem with the whole document, is I have no idea. I got this on Monday, a week ago Monday. It's 160 pages. I have no comparison of any of the changes that are made. I have maps that I cannot read. If you zoom on the maps, you can't tell the parcel numbers on the maps. It's important to the people that live in that area. What are we allowing people to change the zoning to? Because you'll have, if you make a change in the general plan, we'll have people that come in and request zone changes, and we almost have to give them the zone change because the general plan has been changed. But I've got about 100 items on here of questions. But I still don't have maps that I can compare to see what the changes were made. And really in good faith can't vote on this document today other than to send it back to planning and zoning. We've got the open meeting issue that's going to, if we don't send it back, it's going to haunt us for the next 10 years because the people aren't going to figure that it's a legitimate document if there's an open meeting complaint that wasn't addressed.
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Gould, I'd be happy to have myself and my staff sit down with you in your office and we can go through the general plan with you if you'd like as well. In the meantime as well, if we send it back down to the P&Z.
Sure. It also appears that we're adopting a model energy code in the general plan. If we take a look at page 48, 10.1, that's a policy issue. This is basically an omnibus bill. Yeah, we're so many things in there that makes it tough to analyze. I don't support model energy codes. If you're trying to build affordable housing, the best thing that the county could do is show people with a cost benefit analysis, how do those energy saving building techniques pencil out. We may be more worried about getting somebody into a home that isn't quite the energy envelope that the enviros would like to see, but it gets that person in a home. So rather than saying we're going to adopt a model energy code, we might want to take a look at building techniques and what's the payback period on those building techniques. Let's see what else is in here. If we look at, there's a misspelling on page 45, paragraph 3. It uses the word date. I believe the word should be data. On line 4, on page 48, 9.2, it says that, I believe that's where we should encourage alternative energy. I'm not sure that we want to encourage alternative energy. Basically, most of this stuff has been subsidized by the federal government, and you're seeing those subsidies go away. And most of the alternative energy plans that have come here do not benefit us at all, because they take up our land and they ship the power someplace else. So you're making a bunch of policy statements inside here that I don't know that the board agrees with.
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Gould, if I may, just one additional point is we left most of the goals and policies the same as they have been in the 2015 general plan. The ones that we did bring up in our presentation are the main goals and policies that we did change. But everything else was pretty similar to the 2015 general plan goals and policies. Aside from the goals and policies that we brought in from those area plans like Yucca, they had those goals and policies. We just brought them into the general plan. But the ones that we did change, we presented in the presentation.
I really think this merits a special meeting also, that you could go over with the public and with the Board of Supervisors so we know what the policy was from 15 and the policy that we're looking to adopt here in 25. Because I don't know, without me doing a bunch of research, I can't tell what was there. I worked on Yucca Plan. I didn't know that was in there. It should have been an easy one for me, but I don't know that was in, or I didn't know that was in there. But I'm just curious about the inability to compare the previous plan with this plan in the amount of time that I had to do it. But I don't want to burden the meeting with my other 99 questions. I'm sure everybody wants to hear them. But I think we need to send it back, and I think we need to have a special meeting where we're briefed on the changes. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, I think we can certainly do that. Supervisor Lettman, any comments?
I have, not for staff, but I have concerns over the open meeting violation, and I would agree with Supervisor Gould that it should go back and be corrected and go through the correct process. I would like the Planning Commission to go ahead and take a second look at all of this and get more input from the residents, particularly in Golden Valley.
Supervisor Martin, comments?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I want to see that 68 is designated as the commercial corridor. That way we keep things where they ought to be. I don't know why anybody would think they would want to live on next to Highway 68. Makes absolutely no sense to me at all. Also, I noticed in this document here that we got, I think it was Miss Lund noticed that there's no buffer on Teddy Roosevelt Road. That the comments made, well, we made a buffer completely around this project. There's a whole line right there that's not there. So that's not right. In all honesty, I think the buffer was put there to negate the people that live within 300 feet of complaining. And that's what I think it was there. I applaud, sorta, Tyler, for doing that, for making that what some people would call a concession, but in my opinion, it was put there to negate anybody in that area there offering comments. So, it was done, but that document clearly shows it does not go around. On Teddy Roosevelt, there's nothing there. So, and when you read through this thing has some issues, lots of issues. And I agree. I think it ought to go back. Like I say, I want to see that corridor. I want to see that included in there. And like I say, I've worked with Angle Homes on other projects, and I've seen the concessions that they've made and meeting with residents in different areas. And I'll use Fountain Hills as an example. People up there had a lot of complaints. Angle went in there and took care of those complaints, and I voted for the project. I don't see that here. We've talked some, but I haven't seen the concessions made to the residents out there, and it's probably primarily that 1 acre. And I understand these private property rights. He's got a right to develop that, okay? And he knows what his bottom line is to make it worthwhile doing. But I also have to consider, and this is something that's really gets me, is whose voice are we hearing? These folks over here, they're saying, hey, we don't want this. And there's other people that have said, yeah, we do. But I see thousands of people who have not weighed in one way or another. And that bothers me because I don't know what they're thinking. So are they thinking, because they're not commenting on this, that this is what they want? They're happy with the way it is? I really don't know. But in the absence of that, I'm going to go with my thought on it is when it comes up for a vote, I'm going to go with the fact that I told the people when I ran for this position that I would represent them. And I have heard their voice loud and clear. So when it comes to that time, you're going to know how I'm going to vote. I've made it no secret about it. I'm going to represent because I don't have anything else to say that the 7,000 or whatever people that's not said a word don't agree with you. So with that going on, when that comes up for a vote, you're going to know how I'm going to vote. So it's not, that's something you don't have to worry about, I don't think, but it's these other folks we ought to hear your voices. So I'm all for send this thing back. Let's start from scratch. Let's properly notify the public so that you all have an opportunity to clean this up and get your input in there, and then we'll vote on it. So that's my thought on it.
Thank you. Supervisor Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I concur pretty much with there needs to be some transparency to this. We need to see what the changes are. They have the corporate knowledge, but we're the new ones, so we don't know what changes there were. I think, and full transparency with the open meeting complaint there's a cloud over this. So let's go back to and the drawing board, do this properly, and let's see the changes. And I've met with the developer, and it seemed to be they're very open to making changes and what needs to accommodate and make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to be 100% happy, but there's going to be some compromise somewhere.
Thank you, Supervisor. Regarding District 1, I think that the changes that I've seen that we've reviewed reflect my constituents. Up north, Beaver Dam, Littlefield, Scenic, Colorado City, Centennial Park, even Kingman. I think you guys did a pretty good job, and I feel pretty lucky that there obviously aren't anybody here to speak against that, so I think you guys did a good job. If there's any other changes that we want to kick down to planning and zoning, we should make sure that we incorporate those into any motion today. That besides what we've already talked about, and then as chairman, I do have the authority to call a special meeting, and I do think that that's probably appropriate, that after we kick this back to the Planning and Zoning Commission to do their part of the process, that we would come together as a special board just to address this. Is there any other comments? Attorney Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You had already just mentioned, but if I may circle back on a recommendation based on what I've heard from the board. Hearing the comments I've heard from the board, the county attorney's recommendation would be to send the general plan back to the Planning and Zoning Commission with instruction to rehear parts 1 through 8 of the subplan, but not incorporate any changes until it comes back to the special meeting. That way all the supervisors have had time to read it in depth and get a plan comparison. Then after that special meeting, it can come back for final adoption.
Very good. I'm glad that Supervisor Gould mentioned the energy policy, and that caught my eye too, and I do agree with your comments regarding a policy statement on energy for residential. Are there any other comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Holtree.
Just to clarify what Attorney Davis mentioned, so we're going to send it to the Planning and Zoning Commission and rehear all the subcommittee meetings again, then take it to a special meeting with the Board of Supervisors. Would we then need to go back to P&Z one more time?
If if the board has changes they'd like to make, then it would go back and then it come back up here.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, thankfully there's no statutory deadlines for having to approve this general plan update. So I think we've got some time. And if it's going to be something we're stuck with for 10 years, better make sure we get it right and it's very thorough. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
I move that the general plan update be returned to Planning and Zoning with the instructions advised by Attorney Davis.
Thank you for that motion. Do I have a second? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I just to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you all for coming and speaking today. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Okay, we're going to go back to consent agenda. Items 5 through 40. Supervisor Lettman, would you like to pull anything off of consent this morning?
I have no items to pull.
Thank you. Supervisor Gould?
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Borelli? Nothing. And Supervisor Martin? We've had one request to pull item number 26. I'm going to pull item number 26. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, excluding item number 26.
So moved.
For that motion, second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I appear to have it. Item number 26, we have one speaker, Mr. McClure, Scotty McClure.
Scotty from Bullhead. I'd like to know if these guys are paying the same amount of rent that, like, other people that rent the buildings up there. They're taking up a whole room up there, and it's permanent, it seems like to me. Last time I attended an auction up there, their nets were still up. Nobody was playing nothing. So they're taking up a whole room that could possibly be rented out. I don't know if you guys, I don't do what Lutowski does, you know. As far as renting out the places, I don't know who's wanting to go there or whatever, but you need to build them a regular pickleball court or somebody. In Bullhead, we got, it's going crazy down there, and it's too bad that the city got involved in it at all. It should have been the city of Bullhead, they just seem like they should have had somebody build courts on their own and made it regular commercial or whatever, instead of us taxpayers having to. I like people being fit and all that stuff, you know, working out. I got nothing wrong with that. But to have the taxpayers foot the bill for these people, they're taking up a room, and you guys have had these people asking for free rent as it is. I don't like that. I pay full price for that place down there when I go there. I used to have to pay $1 to get in to park. And it just, you know, they shouldn't be getting away with this for free. I know they're giving up a whole $3,000. But build them a regular. You got room there at the county fairgrounds. It could be outside. We have a whole bunch of pickleball courts there that are outside.
Director Latowski, if you could just come to the podium really quick. Can you address the Kingman Pickleball Club and the permit fee they paid and what the time span is that they paid for?
Yes, Chairman Lingenfelter, members of the board. I guess I'll first start by expressing that the use of the pickleball courts, which are inside the expo buildings, are secondary to any reservations. If we have a reservation request for the expo buildings, that would take priority. The arrangement with the pickleball club is such that we collect about $3 per player per session. I again will emphasize that the use of the pickleball courts in the expo buildings are largely during the week and weeknights, kind of catering towards persons' interest in recreating during the week, as opposed to our heavy demand for the expo buildings on the weekends.
So this is an ongoing use, and you're saying that the county is receiving revenue, and if there's an event that would require the use of that space, then they would have to clear all the pickleball equipment out to make room for the event? That's
correct. And the way the pickleball courts are set up is that everything is highly mobile, from the nets to all of the appurtenances with pickleball play. Those are highly mobile.
Any other questions for the board?
Motion to approve.
For that motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I appear to have it, do have it. So ordered. Thank you. We'll move to our public hearings. First is item number 41. Open public hearing, discussion, and possible action, approve or deny BOS resolution number 2025-118, a rezone of assessors parcel number 306-24176A from an AR10 zone to an SDC, Special Development Commercial Zone, to allow for open lot RV and boat storage in the Golden Valley vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. Commission recommended denial by unanimous vote. This item is continued from the July 7th, 2025 BOS meeting. We have nobody signed up to speak for item number 41. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on it? Come on down to the podium, sir. If you could state your name and your address, you'll give 3 minutes for testimony.
Yes, I was told this morning I didn't need to sign up to speak because it was my item.
Well, glad you're here at the podium now, so.
Good, thank you. Yeah, my name is Kip Searcy. Currently, I live in Beaumont, California. I am the managing director for the Searcy Living Trust, owners of the property in question. We're seeking your approval for the rezoning of our property, as stated. In an email March 25th, 2025, PLZ staff stated that, quote, given this activity, the gravel pit adjoining us on the east side, combined with the park, the Aztec Commercial Industrial Park, that was previously approved, and the commercial farming across the street, we would not have any objection to proposed rezone and plan amendment for your lot. Based solely on that statement, we submitted our rezoning application and a check for about $1,700. Went through that process for about a month. However, 2 days prior to the June 11th PLZ Commissioners meeting, staff abruptly changed their position, citing spot zoning as their only reason for denial recommendation. The Arizona spot zoning court decision cited by both the PLZ staff members and the county attorney's office had nothing to do with Mojave County and was indeed, in fact, regarding a high-rise development in the Phoenix area several years ago. Both the PLZ and the Board of Supervisors have approved in the past multiple rezoning applications, most of them surrounded by rural agricultural properties, thereby establishing historical precedent. There are 2 commercially zoned properties located within 200 feet of our property, with the approved Aztec Road, or Aztec Commercial Industrial Park, approximately a half a mile north of our property, and an additional 5 commercially zoned properties located within the proposed Pravada development, approximately 1,200 feet south of our property. Gentlemen, count those up. That's 7 properties that have previously been approved as commercially zoned properties in some fashion or another, all surrounded by rural agricultural zone property, none of which were ever deemed or constituting spot zoning and subsequently ever denied. Okay? Is there a need for such a facility such as what we're proposing? As we understand it, Pravada's CCNRs will not allow storage of RVs on the homeowner's property. Okay? Thereby, this creates a scenario.
30 more seconds.
I'm sorry?
30 more seconds.
Thank you. Where you could have 200-300 homeowners that aren't allowed to store their RVs on the property. What could be more convenient than something located less than a quarter mile away? Allowing us to do this additionally is going to eliminate a lot of burdens upon the cities, which are now not allowing any RV storage facilities to be built because they're starting to understand a lot of the public safety issues with large RVs passing through city streets, narrow city streets, I might add. We would also solve that problem. Last point. Our facility will create no additional burdens on the county's infrastructure, nor require any capital expenditures to be made by the county, i.e. water supply, sewer conveyance system, etc. This is an open lot storage facility. It is not a park. Nobody stays.
Thank you, sir. If we have additional questions for the applicant after the close of the public hearing, we will call you back up to the podium to answer those. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on item number 41 during the public hearing? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Supervisor Martin.
Yes, this was, to me, was kind of an interesting deal because I went out there and looked at it, where his property is and what's around it. It's got a big mining project right behind his property. Now, it's currently, as I understand it, was zoned for houses. Who in the heck would build a house next to a mine with big trucks going through dust and all that stuff? That's just on one end of this proposal. Across the street, he's got a 212-acre, not a pecan, some kind of farm, nut farm over there, right? Planning and zoning said they got no objections from adjoining property owners. And I mean, when you look at it, and he's right, looking at what Pravada's going to do, this is an ideal situation to handle a problem where we don't have all those big rigs running all over Golden Valley. They're going to go a quarter mile and be right there. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the rezone of that 10-acre for that dry storage. Not, he can't, I don't want to see a place there where people are camping. If they want to put their motorhomes in there, it's a perfect situation, in my opinion, and I make that motion.
Heard that motion. The motion and second. Any additional discussion?
Yes, I do.
Supervisor Borelli.
Yes, it's troubling that that this gentleman was cut off at planning and zoning when he was presenting. He told me that he was only was able to speak for 1 minute before he was kind of cut off. You know, that's very troubling to hear.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing on item number 42, discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of BOS Resolution number 2025-146, a resolution setting forth a recommendation for approval to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality for an amendment to the Mojave County 208 Water Quality Management Plan to include the Lake Havasu City Wastewater Master Plan as updated for Lake Havasu City, Mojave County, Arizona. We have nobody signed up to speak on the public hearing or during the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak during the public hearing on item number 42? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. It's the pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
For that motion, do I have a second? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. Item number 43, I'm going to open the public hearing on item number 43. Discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of BOS Resolution number 2025-137, an amendment to the Mojave County General Plan from a light industrial land use designation to a suburban residential land use designation, and a rezone of assessor's parcel number 32603-028B from an A general zone to an AR agricultural residential zone to allow for a minor land division in the Dolan Springs vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. We have nobody signed up to speak on item number 43. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak during the public hearing on item number 43? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing on item number 43. What's the pleasure of the board? Supervisor Martin.
I make a motion that we approve the rezone.
For that motion and second, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? As appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing on item number 44. Approve the adoption of BOS Resolution number 2025-138, a rezone of assessor's parcel number 32603-113 from an A general zone to an SDC special development commercial zone to allow for a tire, auto repair shop, food truck, hay sales, and 2 residences in the Dolan Springs vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. We have no one signed up to speak today during the public hearing on item number 44. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on item number 44? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board? Supervisor Martin?
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
For that motion and second, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing on item number 45. Approve the adoption of BOS Resolution 2025-139, an extension of time for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 310-26-060 to allow for additional time for the completion of BOS Resolution 2022-214, allowing for a wireless communication facility in the Kingman vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. We have nobody signed up to speak today during the public hearing on item number 45. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on item number 45 during the public hearing? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing on item number 45. What's the pleasure of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Burley?
Make a motion to approve.
For that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. We're going to open up the public hearing on item number 46, approve the adoption of BOS Resolution number 2025-140, a petition of exception for Bull Mountain Acres, tract 3087, being a proposed subdivision of assessor's parcel number 330-32-018-20 and -21, to not require sidewalks and streetlights within the subdivision in the Kingman vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by a 9-to-1 vote. We have 2 people that have signed up to speak during the public hearing. The first being Tyler Engel and Travon Pennington. You're on deck.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Tyler Engel with Engel Homes, 2800 Walpay Mountain Road. This is an item because this land used to be designated for higher density than it is. What we're doing is building acre lots, and it used to be planned for quarter acre and lower. And in that urban planning area, they require sidewalks and streetlights. In the rezone to go from 8,000 square foot lots to acre lots, a lot of the residents in a nearby subdivision there asked that there not be any streetlights. We also have had problems with them in the past, so we're not wanting streetlights. Also, now that they're acres, the county approved road profile is a paved street with ditches on the sides that feed into the nearby washes, and so it's not real conducive for putting sidewalks because there's not curbs on these roads for the acre lots. So that's basically why it's when you go straight to developing acre lots, you don't need either of these things, but because it used to be a higher density planning, that's what triggered this. So that's all. Thanks.
Travis Pennington? Those are the only two people that were signed up. Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on item number 46 during the public hearing? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board? Supervisor Martin.
Motion that we approve. This is a good deal. I mean, they're exactly right. They're fighting exactly what this was. Zone for a higher number of people or properties. Got changed. Doing 1 acre. 1 acre is what one out there. So make a motion that we.
Second.
Thank you. You've heard that motion and second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it so ordered. We've already done item 47. Item 48, we'll open the public hearing on item number 48, discussion and possible action, recommendation of approval or denial of the bingo license application received by Mount Tipton Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 9833, and direct the clerk of the board to forward the application to the Arizona Department of Revenue pursuant to ARS 5-409 and 5-410. We have nobody signed up to speak on item number 48. Is there anyone wishing to speak during item number 48? I don't believe so. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 48 during public hearing? I'm going to close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
For that motion second, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it so ordered. Thank you. That brings us to our regular agenda. Item number 49, discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of fiscal year 25-26 tax levies and rates for Mojave County taxing authorities and acknowledge tax levies submitted from special districts, school districts, fire districts, cities, and towns. We have a few people that are signed up to speak. We'll go ahead and get those dealt with here. Joy Bancroft first, and Diana Francis, you're on deck.
Good morning, Supervisors, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having us here today. I made this long list of things, and then I was sitting this morning going, I'm just so beside myself over this tax rate for the Topak School District, the elementary school. So I felt like I could just stand here and just vent about it. But I want to point out that this tax rate is the biggest tax rate I've ever seen, put in at one time. There was no increments. They went through this poorly within the administration of the school and the school board. And the tax rate that they submitted was 1.9115. That was the original. And the new rate is 3.0537. That's a huge, huge jump. And this is on page 3, I think, of your backup. And it was poorly submitted. It was kind of like the 11th hour where they let the public know that this is what they were going to do. And you put it in a newspaper, and it looks like doesn't look like that you're submitting your truth in taxation. They submitted it as saying they were having a public hearing, but when we get to the meeting on the date, there's nothing determined on their agenda that it was a public hearing. It was a hearing of call to public. And so once we got through listening to them and all the things they want to do, you know, the only way they can get to it is by improving the tax and making it larger. I do know that this administration is new and the board is the same that's been there for 10 years, except for one lady. And some of this is being tipped off, or I should say they've been giving advice from John Warren, the superintendent of the county, because he used to be the superintendent there. So here you have a bunch of people angry in a room because this is happening. And all of a sudden, they go through all this list. They've mismanaged everything in this school for years. Attorney General has compliance issues with them. They've gotten 3% of their funding taken away. And I know I have 20 seconds, but give me a few more minutes, Mr. Chair. But then they go through all this. The room gets really upset and goes, okay, now what next? So they go through this agenda that's just horrible, and they just talk about their budget, and all of a sudden they approve their budget. If I may, for just a minute, Mr. Chair, please.
How much longer?
1 minute.
All right. I'll
Thank
give
you.
everybody the same amount of time.
Thank you.
We've got 3 speakers, so they all get 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Right.
Joy Bancroft, sorry, from Topak. I didn't mention that because I wanted to get started. I was beside myself. But anyway, so then they approve it. And everybody in the room goes, well, what just happened? And I said, well, they approved their budget, so they approved the tax rate. So here we are faced with this. And I think the city attorney, the county attorney knows the situation in open law. Ron Gould knows some things and some alternatives that we can go through. But we can't overturn this, I understand. All you can do is acknowledge this rate being submitted, and we have no recourse. So how do I tell the citizens there who live on, fixed incomes, widowers? We're a retirement community. The attendance has dropped to 50 people, and 22 people are in staff there. So please help us find a way to get rid of this.
Diana Francis. Charles Brinkley, you're on deck.
Diana Francis, thank you, Chairman and Supervisors. I live in Golden Shores, and I bought my land in 1967. My parents bought in 63. The big sales pitch at that time was, it's a retirement community. We're never going to have a K through 12 school. So it's going to save these retirement people money. Whether that was a lie or whatever, the point is now we got a stinking school. That school has been a problem from the word go. I personally never wanted it, but there it is. Got to pay for it anyway. Doesn't matter. But we pay way too much. The swindle, when Judy Selberg was the principal, 90% of her kids were special needs. But when a true special needs blind child tried to go to school there, she didn't have the availability. Well, the feds came in. That person went to prison. Obviously, it was all lies. Then what about the next swindle? When Darlene Spiegel, a board member, and Joe Gardner, thank you. When Joe Gardner kept signing off all Kim's expenses. When they finally figured it out, she'd already swindled over $2 million. If she can swindle $2 million, payroll was all met, no kids were deprived or anything, they obviously had $2 million more than they needed then. The insurance paid that off. When they paid that off, it didn't go back to the taxpayers. No, it went back to the school. So now they got plus $2 million. All this is wrong. This taxation is ridiculous. And only one of my children ever went there, first and second grade. She couldn't read, so I pulled her out. I homeschooled her. Then guess what? Third grade, she learned to read. It's ridiculous. There may be people that had a good situation there. They appreciate it. Not me. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay one dime for that school. Personally, I'd like to see it shut down. But there are other options where they could incorporate with Mojave Valley, which I would support that because it makes more sense to have The one teacher is just 19 years old. He just graduated from high school. He's now the 5th grade teacher. The supervisor, the superintendent of the school is the principal. Her sister's the business manager. Can you see another swindle coming up? The possibility is very real. And I just call for the county or the attorney general to do another audit on that school. So far, things happen when that happens, and I appreciate your time very much.
Charles Brinkley.
Charles Brinkley, 5317 Poncho Circle, Topak, Arizona. I just would like to speak in opposition of this rate increase for the Topak Elementary School District. As the ladies have pointed out, there's been much controversy within our school district, and you know, I'm a longtime resident. I'm a business owner in town. My wife is a 40-year resident of town and was on the committees and such to get the school brought in here many years ago. Our children went through the first classes of Topak Elementary, and it has devolved into a place where our grandchildren did not go to our school. You know, our town is basically, and the reason they didn't go there was because there was some, you know, extenuating circumstances with the degree of education that our daughter believed the kids were getting, so they shipped them off to the Mojave Valley Elementary School District. And we do not have a K through 8 school because our children from 6th grade on are bused to the Mojave Valley Elementary School District already. The Mojave Valley Elementary District has reached out to our school district to explore consolidation of the districts, which our district, the 3 or 4 people that are involved in that, rejected out of hand without any exploration. Supervisor Gould came to a meeting that we had in our town, a little town hall meeting that was presented by the Mojave Valley Elementary School District, just on the possibilities of consolidation of the school district, and how that the infrastructure that they already have in place could benefit our area and whatnot. And again, the school district is asking for more money, and our student population is dropping continually. And you know, I don't know, I know most of you know where Golden Shores, Topak is, man. We're a pretty rural community. I would say we're 75% of the homes that are owned in our town are retirees, snowbirds, or weekenders. So adding that extra tax burden on us does not seem fair when there are other alternatives that could keep the school open. And I believe that if the school does not, we don't explore other options, the school is going to end up being closed anyways because of the corruption and whatnot that is going on there. So thank you for your time, supervisors.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Davis, don't all these school boards have their own elected school boards and they set their own independent tax rates? I mean, can you explain to me and the rest of the board what's the County of Mojave's Board of Supervisors' responsibility here? Because they all have independently elected boards.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. All the school boards are independently elected by the voters, just as any other special jurisdiction are. Same thing with the cities. We have to we send on to the treasurer to go and collect the taxes with the cities as well. And I believe they're incorporated into this item. So as far as recourse through the county, there isn't much. We're not giving an up or down. Yes, we approve these tax rates. No, we don't approve these tax rates. There is a state board that's job is to look at all of these, and they look at what JLAC said for truth in taxation. This is the truth in taxation limit, and we have to comply with it as well. We give them all our packet of this is what we did for our budget and any tax increase that we do, and they look and say, okay, you have your truth in taxation notice, you have everything you needed to do. you're good to go. And if not, the board is empowered by the legislature to take corrective action. And that would be a recourse for any illegally high taxes, because there's high taxes, which is a policy decision, and then there are legally high taxes, which I believe are above the truth in taxation rate set by JLAC. And then if they didn't comply with any hearing notices on top of an open meeting violation that could occur, there's also, this board has the authority to force a correction, is my understanding of their power.
But we don't, this board does not set another independently elected district's or board's tax rate.
Correct. Analogous would be if residents living in the city of Kingman didn't like a city of Kingman increase, the board here would not be able to overrule the city of Kingman's authority.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we're doing by this vote is we're accepting those tax rates, and that the treasurer will collect the taxes for them. What I'm going to ask you to do is to consider Topak Elementary School District and Mojave Valley Elementary School District separately and individually from the rest of the motion that we're going to make. I don't believe that they did their truth and taxation hearings properly. I don't think they did a good job of informing the public. But what I'm trying to do here is we do have a bit of a lever here, is if we don't approve this, then they have to collect their own taxes. I don't think they want to do that, so I think they might be willing to either hold their hearing again and come up with a more reasonable tax rate. Sometimes you have to use the levers that you're given. But I'm not willing to push this through because I don't think they did the correct job in informing the people that there was a truth and taxation hearing. People showed up at the Mojave Valley Elementary District to find out that they had to speak at call to the public rather than having the ability to speak on the rate of taxation, which we give our folks on our tax hearings. But I just don't think they did it properly. I don't want to reward their bad behavior, and at least want to make it difficult for them to impose this tax rate. And it's about a 30% tax rate if you look at the case of Topak. So I'm going to make that a motion that we consider the Topak Elementary School District and the Mojave Valley Elementary School District separately and individually from the other taxing districts.
Chairman Lingenfelter.
Director Mornian.
Yes, I just wanted to add a little bit of additional information here. If we're considering the board accepting or acknowledging the special district rates with the exception of Topak and Mojave Valley, just so that the board is aware, the timeline on this, the board has until the third Monday in August each year to basically adopt the county rates and then acknowledge the rates for all the other special districts. So we would, if the board does not accept the rates for those two districts today, the latest date that they can do that is at the next board meeting.
Thank you for that. Supervisor Burley. Oh.
Another improvement district.
Attorney Davis, I have a question. So these two school districts, they have their own elected board members, school boards that are elected by the people. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do they have legal counsel that sits in with them?
They do. So similar to how the counties have ASIP, many of the school boards have a pool because some of them are too small to afford a full-time attorney. And so I did reach out to those two school districts and I asked them, please provide evidence of your truth and taxation hearing, et cetera, and everything that we need for due diligence for this item. Topak didn't respond. Mojave Valley did. I did talk to their attorney. As I spelled out in a letter to the board, we talked about it. I disagree, but I don't have the power to overrule his opinion on for his client, even though I disagree that he says that their truth and taxation hearing covered both their budget and their adjacent means taxation. It only covered their budget, and that's separate from the actual conduct of the meeting itself.
I see. That's an important distinction. So this board has the authority to exempt, or I guess, treat two of these districts different?
We have, as Director Mournian said, the deadline to approve would be the third Monday in August. So there is no liability yet with delaying those until the third Monday in August. We do it early just in case something comes up. There's buffer. After that, kind of off the edge of the map as far as liability goes. So the longer we wait, the liability increases. They could say, we're not, they could tell us all sorts of things. We're not going to do it. We'll do it again. Outside of our control, really, what they do. But the longer we go, the more the liability potential to the county increases.
Supervisor Gould, is it your intent to readdress those other two remaining districts at our second meeting, which is the third Monday of the month?
Yes, that gives them enough time to do that. And I'm not sure there is any liability to the county because they're telling us to vote, we can either vote yes or we can vote no. Otherwise, it's not a vote; it's a command. So the legislature didn't command us to accept the tax rates. They asked us whether we would accept the tax rates and whether our treasurer would collect them or not. It's a weird. The whole thing is weird. And I've gotten strange answers from various attorneys over really no one wants to vote to adopt other people's tax rates anyway. Because it's like you're putting the county seal of approval on whatever tax rate comes down. So people, as Republicans, we've been hesitant to vote for this anyway.
Yeah.
But I at least wanted to break those two out so if you wanted to move the others through and we can discuss the two that are problematic.
Comments from the board?
I have a question about another taxing district.
Okay, Supervisor Burley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. On the Lake Havasu Improvement District, I'm noticing on here that the tax rate is increasing from the 2025 to 2026 with a $147,000 variance increase. I'm just kind of curious, how does that value go up, meaning the tax rate, more taxes, when the value of the properties really haven't increased because of the fact that for years the fire hydrants have been red tagged and the resale value has actually gone down because nobody wants to buy a home where there's no fire support. So how can we adjust that to adopt the 2025 to remain the same in 26?
Chairman Lingenfelter, I can answer Supervisor Borelli's question. Yes, Supervisor Borelli. So the tax levy rate for Havasu Improvement District remains the same as last year. It's 0.7370, but the net assessed value from the county assessor's office for all of the properties within that district shows an increase of about $150,000 in the net assessed value. And so that's what's driving the small increase in the levy, the tax levy itself, the dollar amount of the levy that's being proposed. It's a $1,087 increase compared to fiscal year 25. And I would just a point of clarification, when the board says, adopt these rates, I believe what the statute says is that the board will adopt the county rates, but the board is just accepting and acknowledging the rates for all of these other independent taxing jurisdictions. So school districts, fire districts, improvement districts, as has been discussed, they all have their own boards which draft their budget and approve their budget and approve their levy rates.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair,
Supervisor,
to that point, I'm this is my understanding that the Board of Supervisors are the board for this improvement district. So we're the decision makers for this improvement district.
I believe you're correct.
Am I correct?
I believe you are.
So we can adopt an adjustment to freeze the amount of money being collected from these properties, because there really hasn't been, I mean, the assessor might be assessing these properties higher, but their resale value is not, because heck, they can't even get homeowners insurance because of the fire issue. However, we're going to be fixing that, this year. But I think we should be able to not take more money from these people when they
Might
have
want to
the money.
ask Director Mornian how that tax rate is set on that improvement district.
Director Mornian, do you have a response for that question?
Can we adjust that?
Supervisor Borelli, Chairman Lingenfelter, that levy rate is set based on the budget that is submitted by the district. Finance does not create that budget. If the board wants to revise the budget and the associated levy rate, I believe that the board has that authority because the County Board of Supervisors sitting as the board of directors for that district, they do have that authority.
Attorney Davis, you're nodding. Yeah.
I've been discussing it with others in my office, and we think that because the Board of Supervisors sits as the Board of Directors, we would have that authority sitting as the Board of Directors for that improvement district to adjust it down for their district, because the Board of Supervisors has that authority for that district.
Okay. What would it be adjusted down to, Supervisor Borelli?
Keep it the same rate as 2025, not increase for 26.
Chairman and Supervisor Borelli, the levy rate itself, it does remain unchanged. It's just the amount of the levy that has increased from FY25 to FY26. And so if you wish to keep the dollar amount of the tax levy itself the same, you would need to reduce the levy rate proportionally. And that is a calculation that we could certainly provide to the board at the next meeting.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion that captures all of that. Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
Attorney Davis, you kept mentioning about how liability might increase. This is regarding the Topak School District. What did you mean by liability?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Ledman, so in my opinion, the liability of the county increases if we go past that date, because the school district would be able to attempt, at least, file a mandamus action to say that this is non-discretionary, you have to do this, you have to approve our rate as it is, or that we did nothing wrong, or of that nature. So they could carry it out, and that's the liability that I'm calculating is since there already is a board that's designed to correct these errors, I'll say, if the county potentially exceeds its jurisdiction in editing or forcing editing of any of the rates, that's where the liability comes from.
What you're telling us, they would sue us.
Yes.
Chairman Lingenfelter, we do have a motion on the floor right now. It does not have a second. It's the board consider the Topak Elementary School District and Fort Mojave Elementary School District separately and individually from the other taxing districts by Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Clerk Scooble. I think if we would want to incorporate Supervisor Borelli's stuff, we would need to have that revised.
Chairman Lingenfelter?
Director Mornian.
I just double checked. The Lake Havasu City Improvement District number 2 that we're discussing, that is actually set by the city of Lake Havasu. The
council.
Yes,
council?
the County Board of Supervisors does not sit as the board of directors for that district. So we do not have the authority to adjust their rate or their levy.
I always find it interesting how many non-discretionary choices the state gives us as a county board. They say, well, you have to vote on this, and that implies that you have a choice, but a lot of these things, you know, it's like, why even put it before us if we don't have a
There's no
choice?
choice. Why pretend to give me a
It's
choice?
just like passing the buck.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, it looks like I'm going to be appearing in front of the city council in the
It
capacity.
appears that way. It appears that way. Well, I guess we don't need we do have a standing motion. Does everybody understand what that motion is? If so, we would need a second. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion, please? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it so ordered. So it sounds like those two districts have maybe 2 weeks, and then it's going to be back before us at our next meeting. Item number 50, Supervisor Gould.
Just as a quick clarification point,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
apologize. So the motion was that Topak Elementary School and Fort Mojave Elementary School would be considered separately, but the rest of the taxing districts are still, have not been determined, plus you would need to determine what to do with Topak and Fort Mojave. Am I getting that right?
I think it's my understanding that all of the other taxing districts, with the exception of those districts that were noted, that those rates are approved or adopted or acknowledged.
Probably need to make a motion to approve the other.
Correct.
The other tax rates.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, let's back up to 49. Let's make sure we get this
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion for the other districts? Is that appropriate? Supervisor, or Attorney Davis, excuse me.
Yes, so this would be sufficient for a two-part motion. So part one is complete, so removing Topak and Mojave Valley. So the motion would be to approve item 49 minus Topak and Mojave Valley Elementary School Districts.
Thank you, sir. I'd entertain a motion to that effect. Thank you, Supervisor Martin. Do I have a second?
We'll need that caveat, minus Topak and Mojave Valley.
Okay. I
I
think
voted against that.
that's right.
So this is to prove the rest of it.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Supervisor Martin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it so ordered.
That was a no out of me.
That was 4-1. Item number 50, Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last meeting, we had a discussion of a gentleman that had a dilapidated roof on his home, and whether or not he needed a building permit. We got to a portion where I was asking Director Holtree and along with the Chief Building Inspector, well, when do people need to get a permit for a re-roof project? The Chief Building Official told me when he thinks they do. To me, that's an unacceptable answer. It does not provide transparency and almost creates a fiefdom inside of the building department. So what I decided to take a run at was that you could do 128 square feet of roofing and deck replacement, or 10% of the roof, whichever is greater, does not require a building permit. We did some further checking on Friday afternoon. Maricopa County does not require building permits for re-roofs as long as the re-roofing is the same material for the same material. So if you're shingles, you're fine. If you're tile, you're fine. Hot mop, whatever. So if you're not changing the material, you didn't need a building permit. You did need a building permit for decking replacement, though. So at the pleasure of the board, I don't know if you want to just take re-roofs out from requiring a permit and still leave, that's 4 sheets of plywood is what 128 square feet is. If you let to remove re-roofs from requiring a building permit and allow them to replace 4 sheets of plywood.
Sounds reasonable. We have 2 people that have signed up to speak. Can we bring them up now?
Sure.
Okay, first is Scotty McClure, and then Jennifer Esposito. You're on deck. Thank you.
Scotty from Bullhead. This just seems like more government regulations This is just, I mean, the guy wants to re-roof his roof. He's got a leak or something, I guess. Just like changing out my water heater, I got to hire $150, $200 a guy to come down and help me turn a wrench. Roofs ain't cheap in this county. Even though it don't rain, but it sure, when it does, it pours. But I'm not selling salt today. This is just government getting in our wallets again. This is ridiculous. It should even be a law.
Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you, Jennifer Esposito, Kingman. I support this, but I would like to point out that just like the water heater situation where the board referred it back to staff, it ended up at the Building Code Advisory Board. I attended that meeting. And I was, first I was a bit stunned and disturbed when I read the agenda that Mr. Holtry and Mr. Smaby are actually members of the board. But they advised the board against doing what you, sitting up there, had said you wanted. You know, they literally, I think the term that Supervisor Borelli mentioned to me after the last meeting was sandbagged you. Okay? You said, we want this done, go through the formality of the process to get it done and bring it back to us so we can fix it. But instead, staff undermined the will of the board. This has been a chronic problem. So if you're going to vote to send this through the process that needs to be done to get this done, and it's a good thing and it does need to be done, can you put some kind of caveat on there that the board, or at least the 3 people that showed up that day to vote, understand what your will and direction is? In other words, we're asking you to shut up and approve this so we can get it fixed. Instead of, please, you know, consider this and the objections of the enforcement arm who wants to collect the fees and fines and inspections and whatever, because staff is working against you. That department is not on board with what you guys want to do. I mean, optimally, this international building code is really kind of a mess. And staff has never met a permit or a fee or a fine that they didn't just love. But the other issue that has to be addressed is the automation fee. Okay? Because what happened with the water heater thing was they said, okay, well, we want to keep the permit because somebody's house might burn down, but we'll just make the permit free. But nobody could speak again because our 2 minutes was up. So we couldn't say, what about the $40 automation fee? So there needs to be something in there to address, to repeal the permit and all associated fees or something, because now this is going to go before, the water heater thing is going to go before the Planning and Zoning Board, and we're going to have to go, hey, but what about the automation fee that we didn't get to talk about the last time because we thought they were going to do what you wanted and not what they wanted? But staff does what they want. So I'm just advising you that however you phrase your motion, if you could make sure that you incorporate what it is that you want and that is stated explicitly to staff and the the board that votes on it. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Scott, can you come up for a second? We heard a lot of bashing of you and your department. Do you want to give some rationale as to why things are the way they are right now and whatever else you want to retort?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you. As far as the water heaters are concerned, staff has always been in the opinion that it is a safety issue. We presented that to the Board of Supervisors at the board meeting. But we did agree to take it through the process. I think we mentioned that we're very pro-safety. We want to make sure that the whole reason why we have the permit in place in the first place is to promote safety. We did take it to the Building Code Advisory Board, and their recommendation, we presented 3 recommendations to them. One is to leave the permit as is, 2, to remove the permit like the board is requesting, or 3, to alter it in some way or to have it be voluntary. The Building Code Advisory Board recommended to keep the permit, but to not have a fee. We are going to present all three options to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then to the board. If the board decides to remove that fee, then we would have to go through another process as well. But we will do what the board wishes. We just want to make sure that we're representing the professions that we have. Our chief building official, the development services is for safety. We reached out to numerous counties, jurisdictions, cities that have those permits and require them. Fire jurisdictions as well believe that it is a necessary permit. As far as the roofing permit that Supervisor Gould is bringing up, we do believe that that is something that should be changed, and we are in support of changing it as requested, and would be happy to take that to the process.
That's great. Thank you, Director. Chairman. Yes, Supervisor Gould. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Davis, is there any statutory requirement that the Board of Supervisors sends things to an advisory committee rather than to enact changes to the building code procedure directly?
Supervisor Gould, the statutes do authorize, and the county has passed a resolution that whenever setting out the outlines of the Building Code Advisory Board, that whenever a change to the code itself is made, same thing to like the general plan, that you send it back to planning and zoning because those are, in theory, the experts on development. It's the same thing with the Building Code Advisory Board. They're selected from their select professions to give technical advice to the planning and zoning. So there's their job, rather than being an up or down, we like this, we don't like this. It's a technical evaluation that's what it goes. So to answer your question, I believe there is, but the board always reserves the right to overrule them. And when it comes to fees go straight to the board. They don't have to go through the Building Code Advisory Board.
So if I made a motion to not withstand the Building Advisory Code Committee, would that suffice to end run it going to the committee?
Let me look real quick.
No, notwithstand is not as cool as writ of mandamus, but
Mr. Chair and Supervisor Gould, while he's looking that up, just as my history with the department, we've always taken any code changes through the Building Code Advisory Board. I don't believe it is a requirement. I think the requirement is, it's really just the board. I think we've done it in the past just to give that additional technical advice, is my understanding. But I'll rely on Attorney Davis.
The code advisory committee was to change things in the code that didn't make sense for our area. You know, putting garage door openers on GFCI circuits so they trip and trap your wife in the garage.
Correct. They're the experts for the area, and we rely on them to help us on the code a little bit.
It seemed like it was more to modify the code rather than to remove it from authority.
Right. And with that, we've always taken just every code change through them just to kind of vet it a little bit.
Mr. Chair. So reading 11.862, any code adopted pursuant to this article shall contain the provision for an advisory board and to determine the suitability of alternative materials, construction, permanent interpretations of the provision of such a code. So based on this is not a permanent interpretation. This is the remove or the editing of what constitutes a need for a permit. I would say that the Building Code Advisory Board is not required for this.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just one
Director Hultree.
One other thing in regards to the motion that you might be making, it would be towards the residential code, not necessarily the IPMC, but we'll make sure that we get the right code and make sure we're changing the right ordinance so that it's not required.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We need a motion on item number 50?
Supervisor Gould, to refine your motion to specifically make sure it's covering the right thing, I would recommend using the term Mojave County Building Safety Code. That encompasses all of the various books.
Does that create a conflict with residential and commercial? If I add residential to the motion?
I don't believe so.
Run that by me again, Attorney Davis.
It would be an amendment, or however you wish to amend it, to the Mojave County Building Safety Code.
I move an amendment to the Mojave County Building Safety Code that re-roofs using the same material and a replacement of 128 square feet of roof decking be removed from permit requirements. Residential.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I don't think you can. I didn't notice it.
That's not agendized today anyway, so. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, Director Holtry. Thank you, Attorney Davis, for leading us through that. Item number 51, we covered in executive session. Annual review of the Clerk of the Board. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
I move that the board accept the review of the Clerk of the Board and move her from step 1 to step 2 in pay grade.
Thank you, sir. You've heard that motion. Do I have a second? Second. Heard that motion in a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Keep up the good work. Item number 52, this was on our July 7th, 2025 meeting. Without reading this, very long-winded. Basically, my intent with this item was to tie it to the zero-based budgeting. Economic development this year is our first ever zero-based budgeting department. It relates to measurement. I think we can ditch the weekly written report of activities. That seems pretty excessive. But I would like to see each one of the county supervisors, their districts, the economic development activity that's going on in their district, I'd like them to have a say on some of the things that they'd like to see as far as measurement. In order to make our zero-based budgeting department successful, we have to know that what we're measuring and all those good things. So that's kind of what I'm looking for through this is each one of the county supervisors would have an opportunity to mention to the economic development department and county manager those measurements that are important to them so that we can incorporate those in how we evaluate how the zero-based budgeting department did. And I'd be open to discussion. Supervisor Martin, thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, Travis, my feeling on this is all excessive. I think it all is. You know, we're putting additional requirements or burdens on these folks, and after looking at this and thinking about it, I just don't think we need it. I mean, I feel like Tammy is working well with me. You know, I don't see the need, and so I just wouldn't support it.
Sure, that's fair. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Supervisor Letman.
I actually kind of support the direction you're headed in, but I just don't want to report every week.
Yeah, nor do I. Yeah, that's,
monthly would be fine.
Yeah, this again was just an idea. I mean, obviously, I've been thinking a lot about the zero-based budgeting conversation that we've had. We decided to do one department to see how it worked. That was passed, and I find myself sitting here thinking how exactly we're going to know whether or not they're successful or not in a year. And the reason that's important to me is because I'm sort of leaning towards doing a total countywide zero-based budgeting and being that third vote. But I want to make sure that we actually can pull it off with one first. And that's why I'm looking to make sure that we've got some real measurements. Tammy, did you have anything to speak about on this one, or no? Just answer questions? Okay. Again, it's conceptual. I mean, if there's 3 supervisors that want to do this, then we can do something. But if not, then it'll just die. Supervisor Borelli, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think if we have individually, we have questions that we need to address with Tammy, we should have the flexibility to reach out on our own. I don't need to have a weekly brief, I mean, as needed, so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think weekly reporting is a little much. Monthly reporting is fine. When I was on workforce development, Tammy would make a presentation to workforce development, and I always thought that that same presentation should be made to the Board of Supervisors because it was very informative. Whether she can do that as individual supervisors or as a part of the agendized meeting or not would be something for the chairman to just come up with.
Yeah, maybe that's something that since we have the high ground item that's going off of our agenda, maybe it's something we can incorporate on a monthly basis or something like that. I'm not going to make a motion on this. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention and kind of where it was going. So I'm not going to make a motion on that unless anybody else wants to. We'll move on to item number 53. Discussion possible action as required by paragraph 2A of the County Manager Employment Agreement. Discuss and take possible action regarding the expiration of the agreement and determine whether to extend a new agreement or allow the current agreement to expire, and determine the next steps involving the county manager position. Clerk, Scooble, are we doing this in executive session or open session?
This is an open session.
Okay, thank you. I agendized this as the chairman. I felt it was my responsibility under the employment agreement and to just have a conversation, really asking for input from County Manager Elters to advise us on what his plans are, and hopefully we get to extend the agreement or just what his plans are and then take appropriate steps. So I would just give the floor to you, Manager Elters, if I may.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, and thanks for the opportunity to look ahead and share my intent with you. As I indicated to you when you asked for my thoughts, my intent is to retire. I've been in a professional world for 4 decades. With the concurrence of the board, my preference would be to retire in early next year, perhaps in January sometimes, and that would allow me to work with the board to facilitate the recruitment and hiring of my successor, and to ensure that we have a smooth transition where we do a handing of the baton. I am committed, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a drop-dead date, so if the recruitment process takes a week longer or 2 or a month, I am committed to this county, to this job, and I will not go anywhere until, at the board, obviously, concurrence and direction. I'm committed to stay around until the board hires a successor and the board is satisfied with the transition and for a succession plan.
Thank you. And just so the board understands, the current agreement that we have with our county manager, he's doing a great job in my opinion, it goes through November 6th of this year. So we'll need to do a contract extension from November 7th to some date that the Board of Supervisors determines, if that's the intent. Supervisor Gould. Supervisor Borelli. Sorry.
I'm the good-looking guy.
Oh, okay.
He's taller. Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to caution the county manager by using the terms drop dead date and retirement in the same conversation. And if I understand, you're 65, well, I'm 66. How dare you want to retire and live the life of leisure? So, try.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes, personally, I hate to see him go. I mean, to me, Sam has been the man, and I'm really sad to hear this. But what I would want to see is that he is definitely on the committee to pick somebody to succeed him so that that person who comes on knows how Sam has been running things in the past and how we as a board work with Sam. So if we're going that way, I just want to make sure that with the concurrence of you folks, that he's on that selection committee for a replacement.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
I don't know that there is a selection. Well, there's a selection committee, and I believe it's the 5 of us. It's different than department director. So we put out the clerk will put out advertise the vacancy, and then the board of supervisors is who chooses the replacement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Lettman, any comments or not?
Yeah, this news from Mr. Elter saddens me. He's been great assisting me, and I'm going to save the rest of my remarks for your retirement dinner.
Very good. We do have 2 people signed up to speak on this item. It's Kip Anderson. Jennifer Esposito, okay, and then Kip Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer Esposito Kingman. Whatever you need to do, send him down the road, make it happen. I've been here long enough to remember Mr. Elter's lying to this board during budget time and insisting we had an $18.5 million deficit we didn't have. In a board manager form of government, it is your job to instruct the county manager, and it is his job to implement policy. But over and over and over again, as I have been in this chamber, I have witnessed him interrupt, interject, run the board, tell you what to do, give you his demands. I watched his tearful pleas for jobs where we have vacancies for employees. Oh, they might leave if you're scaring them talking about budget cuts. I have a very long memory. I assure you, I will remember things to my deathbed. But you guys are in charge of picking a new county manager, not him, okay? Do your job. But find one this time who actually understands his place and position. You guys are in charge. But the previous incarnation of this board has repeatedly abdicated your authority to the county manager. And then on her way out at the December meeting, Chairman Hildy Angus, who's now our senator, God help us, made it her final thing to give him a raise he didn't deserve. So whatever you need to do, let the contract expire, put it on the agenda for this fall, for November, if you need to do a contract extension. But please, just for once, assert your authority. You guys pick the county manager and pick one that will do what they're told, do what you want. Stop letting staff run you. We don't elect staff. We elect you to be our voice on the board. So use your voice. Thank you.
Kip Anderson.
Good afternoon, Chairman Lingenfelter, members of the board. I've been working in the court system since 2003. I've been coming before the board on occasion during that time, and I've worked with several county managers during that time. And on behalf of the Superior Court, and in particular on behalf of Presiding Judge Moss, we want to express our appreciation for the excellent service that Sam Elters has provided to the county and to the courts. Our experience, my experience with County Manager Elders has been excellent. He's been responsive, he's been open to hearing our needs, he's provided suggestions, he's provided counsel. Those things have been invaluable. I recognize there's many challenges that come to the county manager, that come before the board, and we appreciate the members of the Board of Supervisors. You gentlemen do an excellent job, and I think you take counsel. You don't take direction, you take counsel from your county manager, which you should. And I'm in a similar role. That's what I do. I try to provide counsel to the presiding judge and suggestions. And we want to just express, and Presiding Judge Moss is out of the country, so he asked me to make sure and just share our appreciation and our thanks We'd like to see County Manager Elger stay on as long as you'd like him to, and as long as he would. But we recognize things change. At some point, we all retire. Supervisor Borelli, we hope you stick around though till you're well into your 70s, right? This no 66, 65. But thank you. We appreciate your service. But that's all I wanted to say was just we wanted to express our appreciation and take that opportunity. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kip. I would say that this is a very, very large, very complex organization, and you report to 5 people with five very strong personalities, and you do a really good job with handling it, in my opinion. Very professional. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, for a moment.
Yes.
I would like to say regarding the prior speaker, I will not respond to those comments to dignify them. They do not deserve a response. And with that said, I hope you know, all of you, and the prior board knows as well, that I have stated and I've told you the truth at every board meeting through the 5 years that I've already served this board. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I think no action really at this point, right? We need to, any comments? Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We probably need to proceed with the search for a new county manager.
Sounds like it
within a
certain amount of time.
Period.
Yeah. Maybe we could have some more input on that. I mean, I'd like to know and get a little more clarity on departure date so that we can sort of work our way back from that departure date. That's just one opinion out of 5.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, January, the end of January is a good date to work with. Understanding that if it needs to be a week earlier or a week later, that will be fine. It's really not it's not a problem either way. But if you'd like to go with the end of January of this coming year, that would be great. As far as the recruitment and the hiring process, understanding it's your decision as the board, having a panel to interview and recommend to the board is, I think, a practical approach. I think the last time we went through this, perhaps Supervisor Gould was the only board member here today that was on the board at that time. There was a panel of 4 members. Those were large departments. Those were departments combination of elected and none that interact with the county manager a lot. That consisted with the presiding Superior Court judge, the county attorney, the sheriff, and then a retired school superintendent. The county manager, my predecessor, did not serve on that board. I really believe, and I believe the county at the time, according to the HR, received somewhere around 50 applications. They sorted through them. They conducted the interview and then made a recommendation ultimately to the board. The board makes the final decision. If you would like similar process, and I would recommend that, Mr. Chairman, to have a panel of similar mix go through with or without me and recommend the top 5 to the board or the top 3 and allow the board to conduct a second layer. I think that would really be a reasonable way to do it. And I think it would still give you the option to look at those who recommended, interview them, and make the final decision that suits you as board members best, as opposed to going through all the applications and doing the review. That truly would be my recommendation, and I leave it up to you. It's your call.
Great. Well, it sounds to me the only thing that's agendized today is the contract. So we could do a motion to extend the current employment agreement through January 31st of 2026 if the board is so inclined to do that today. Otherwise, we'll need to revisit this with other board action items during our next meeting or sometime thereafter. We're 5 months away right now from the end of January.
I'll make that motion. Motion to extend the county manager's contract until January 31st?
I believe so.
2026.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it. Do have it so ordered.
We just extend.
Yeah, I think as both parties to the agreement, if we are mutually agreeable to extend again, we have that opportunity to do that.
Dead date.
It's for recruitment planning purposes, I believe. I mean, if you know if somebody's outgoing, you want to know when you need to start that recruitment process. If you start it too early, it's not good. If you start it too late, it's not too good.
Right, but given if something came up at a time towards the end of January, rather than, we're not locked in on the January 31st, we just got to, we could extend that again. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because we don't have any flexibility there.
Yeah, Supervisor Martin, the board has that ability to do that as long as our manager is agreeable to that. If for some reason the hiring process didn't go well or something, an additional extension, you would be amenable to that if it was necessary within reason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and board members, absolutely. I will not leave until the board hire a successor.
Okay. I'd like to change my vote then. Can I do that?
You have to motion to reconsider.
Yeah, you want to make a motion to reconsider?
Yeah, motion to reconsider.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we're going to go with Supervisor Gould's motion once again. We have the same motion and second, correct? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it so ordered, unanimous. Thank you. Item number 54, discussion possible action report to the Arizona Corporation Commission on the complaints received from Val Vista residents regarding Foothills Water Company and the Truxton Water Company out there. They've had numerous water outages out there. We had some communication problems with them. Even though Mojave County does not have any direct authority over water systems, the folks that run that, it's the Foothills Water. They were not doing really a great job with communication. And so you had people out there, residents that were very fearful. They started contacting Mojave County. They started contacting the city of Kingman. ACC, obviously, we had a meeting with the ACC chairman, Kevin Thompson, and his executive staff on Friday afternoon. They said they received over 70 calls, but this seems to be an ongoing issue. So really what we're asking the board to agree to is for this Board of Supervisors to send a letter to the ACC addressing all these issues and to make sure that they keep us informed, that the water company keeps us informed. It was really unfortunate last week where Mojave County doesn't have any authority over these water systems, but our county manager's office spent some time on this, our public works director spent some time on this, emergency management did, public health did. My office was getting inundated. I know the city was. So this letter is just a part of making sure that we press on the ACC. With that, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes appear to have it. Do have its order. Thank you. Item number 55, only. It's an information only update on reception of the Mojave County Airport Authority financial statements. We have one person signed up. We'll get that out of the way. It's Mr. Scotty McClure, if you want to come up.
Scotty from Bullhead again. I sure would have liked to know what the update is. But I guess I don't have the authority to go after you read or you supply me with the information. There's a lot of people that should go to jail over this. And Letman's just keep putting this on the agenda, putting it on the agenda. He's grandstanding with this. What's he running for re-election? That's not up for another 3 years. You need to go to the FCC or FAA or whatever, get this thing over with and demand, like maybe getting some of these people that have the authority to do this instead of just running your name in the paper. Do something about it. This guy, we got a California bookkeeper keeping Laughlin's, Nevada, and Bullhead City, Arizona's airport. And the guy's in California doing the bookkeeping. Something stinks. For one thing, they're probably hiding him down there. Whatever, they have a local bar down there or something. I don't know. That smells. But you need to quit just putting this on the agenda. Information only, information only, information only. Do something about it.
All right, do we have, go ahead, Clerk.
All right, we did receive the Mojave County Airport Authority financial statements as of June 30th, 2025. It is not their audited financials. They did hire a CPA out of Needles, California, and as part of their letter that has been forwarded to the board, that he stated management has elected to omit substantially all the disclosures ordinarily included in financial statements. If the omitted disclosures were included in the financial statements, they might influence the user's conclusion about the company's assets, liabilities, equity, revenues, and expenses. Accordingly, the financial statements are not designed for those who are not informed about such matters. And that was by CPA Michael P. Berger.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd say with this item, being methodical matters and process matters. So,
I have a question for the Attorney
Supervisor Martin.
Are those documents then public record, or what are they? Because if Scotty wants to see them, I don't care.
They're public
I
record
think
now.
you ought to see them.
They are public records, and they are also, they uploaded it to their website, this part.
Thank you.
You seeing what we're seeing?
Supervisor Letman, you had a comment?
Couple of questions. Is Director Mornian still with us?
Director Mornian, are you on the line?
He is.
Yes, I am.
So you heard Clerk Scooble read that final paragraph. Could you give us your opinion on what that might mean to the ordinary person who's not well versed in financial statements?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Letman, sure. So what MCAA did, and these were basically financial information as of June 30th, 2025, so their most recent fiscal year. They engaged their CPA to perform what is called a compilation, and that basically, it's quite a bit different from an audit. An audit includes analytical procedures and detailed testing of transactions, whereas a compilation basically just takes the information from the entity that is contracting with the auditor, and the auditor puts it into the format of financial statements. Now, the omission of the disclosures is not... It basically makes it so that the financial data is really geared toward the use of someone internal to the MCAA organization, because as management, they would have the necessary contextual information to know, what transactions were significant during the year, what significant events occurred during the year, whereas an external user of the financial information, in this instance being the county, we don't have access to the inner workings of that organization. So when an entity omits those disclosures and those notes to the financial statements, it basically leaves us without context for interpreting the numerical data that's included in the financial statements. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Director Mournian, at the bottom of every page on that financial statement are 3 words. Let me repeat them. No assurances given. What does that mean?
So that is another big difference between a compilation and an audit. An audit an audit requires the CPA to issue an opinion, and that opinion, generally what you want the opinion to say is that the auditor believes that the financial statements as presented are free from any sort of material misstatement, and basically the users of those financial statements can generally rely on the information contained within them. As part of an audit opinion, a CPA or a CPA firm will provide reasonable assurance to that fact. And they provide reasonable but not absolute assurance because they test some of the transactions. They don't test 100% of the transactions. They run analytical procedures over some of the information, but not all the information. It's generally using a risk-based approach. If the auditor feels that certain components of the financial statements are higher risk, they will run more analytical or more tests of details on those specific components of the financial statements. With a compilation engagement, those processes, those tests are not performed, and so the CPA gives no assurance about the validity or the accuracy of the information. As I said earlier, they basically take the information directly from management, they put it into the format of financial statements, but they don't run any tests over it. They don't verify any information with third parties, such as doing confirmations with financial institutions, things like that. And so that is why each one of those pages on these financial statements say that there's no assurance given. It's because the CPA hasn't performed any sort of procedures that would allow them to in good faith say that they could provide any sort of assurance.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to alert Mr. McClure that we are doing something about this. So in the next 10 days, Supervisor Borelli and myself, he's done a separate approach towards JLAC, but we will be going down to Phoenix to present our case and summary to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Luke, just to kind of cut the chase, basically the CPA is saying he doesn't trust the information, right?
Supervisor Borelli, no, that's not what I would say. I'd say he hasn't performed any of the procedures to be able to give assurance over it. CPAs are just like lawyers. They like to hedge their bets, and they're not going to go out on a limb without being able to substantiate the opinion.
All right, any other discussion before we move on to 56?
Mr. Chair.
Attorney Davis.
First, I would say that depends, Director Mournian. Then I would also say I did a look at the FAA, which is related to this, and the FAA catalogs in a form 127, excuse me, which is airport financial statements, which they have to provide in form 126 and 127 for airport, excuse me, airport revenues, expenses, and other financial information. And the last fiscal year that has any information is fiscal year 2022, which has an operating income loss of $310,000. And then for the remaining fiscal years, there are zeros across the board. I asked the FAA why there were zeros across the board for the remaining fiscal years. They indicated that that is because the traffic at the airport did not embark or enplane more than 2,500 passengers. I find that hard to believe, given that the FAA's preliminary calendar year 25 or 24 calendar year emplacement for KIFP, which is the airport code, is 68,837 for calendar year 23, which is a 6.3% drop from the year previous. But they're marking it as general aviation, which is interesting because general aviation are private jets, non-scheduled flights is generally what general aviation is. But there are scheduled flights that are chartered by the casinos that fly on Sun Country, which I don't believe meets the definition of general aviation. So I add that to the information received by the clerk, and those files are publicly available on the FAA's website.
Thank you for that, Attorney Davis. The main question that I have related to FAA and financial statements in accordance with the FAA is, if you look hard enough, there's a schedule of uses when it comes to airport revenues, and it's a schedule that goes through A through E. E is operations at the very bottom. On top of that, you have things like common use facilities, things like this, and the way that those airport funds are supposed to be used is in accordance with that hierarchy of needs. So you're supposed to invest in common use facilities and all these things, A, B, C, D, before you get to E, operations. If you have anything left after you've expended all of your airport aviation funds, in accordance with that schedule, if you have anything left when you get to E, operations, then you're able to spend it on operation. What happened with this airport authority is that nobody was watching, and similarly, they took all of their land sale proceeds and airport aviation fees, and they skipped A, B, C, and D, and they took it all and they spent it on operations. I hope that's not happening here, but we don't know yet. Okay, we'll move to item number 56. A discussion of possible action regarding receive advice from the board's attorneys relating to Mojave County MCC leases and possible action under existing leases and direct staff as necessary. We have one person that signed up to speak before we get to action. Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you, Jennifer Esposito, Kingman. One thing that seems very clear about the situation with the airport is they don't seem to be in compliance with very much. I think it's kind of reaching a point now where the board has to really look at this and consider whether or not they are in agreement with the terms of the lease. Now, I realize that this board, or the prior incarnation of this board, took over control of the fairgrounds when that turned out to be a hot mess. And so far that hasn't been overly problematic. However, I don't see this board as being uniquely qualified to run an airport. Just saying, nothing personal. However, maybe Bullhead City might be interested in running an airport. Maybe you have the option to discuss with them a better lease agreement. Right? Maybe you could lease it to Bullhead. I don't know. I'm just looking out for the taxpayers here. But all I know is the lease you have, with all due respect, sucks. It sucks for you. It sucks for the taxpayers. The only people it doesn't suck for is apparently the airport, because they're making money off of land that we could be getting taxes, other revenue and benefits from. It's an asset. It's an asset that I don't think personally is being managed well. But I think that the board needs to take a really good, hard look at this. I think you also need to see if there's a way to audit the number of flights and passengers to find out whether or not they really are under that threshold for the FAA, or did they misrepresent something to the FAA to, subvert the reporting requirements? Because that would be of concern if they were misrepresenting the number of passengers in order to try and pretend that they're a private airport and not an airport with scheduled flights. That's extremely concerning. But you guys are the landlord. You know, just like you're the landlord of the hospital and the landlord of the fairgrounds and everything else. So as the landlords, you guys got to figure out at what point, you know, you fish or cut bait. And, you know, best of luck in that decision. But it looks to me like as the evidence accumulates that, you know, I haven't read the entire lease, but you have people you pay to do that. So think long and hard about where you go from here, because it's our property. We, the county of Mojave, we, the people of Mojave, we lease it to them. If they're not fulfilling their requirements, you know, you've got a lot to think about. Thank you.
Open it up to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
I move that the county attorney's office take the actions discussed in executive session.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it. Do have it so ordered. Thank you. Move to the call to the public. Diana Francis.
Thank you, Chairman, Supervisors. Diana Francis, I'm in Golden Shore still, and I bought my land in 1967. My parents bought in 63. I state this because there was nothing nor nobody there. It was pretty empty, and we liked it. We loved it. Now people are moving in, and we can't stop that completely, but taxes are going up, and there's no increase in value. So I would just like to advise the board, let them know respectfully that we're against any increase in taxes, and please take that under consideration before we have an increase, no matter what it's for. We don't have good streets, okay, we're fine. We don't have lights, we're fine. We don't have sidewalks, we're fine. We didn't have them when we moved there, we're not requesting them. But just keep in mind, everything costs money, taxes go up, but we never get an increase in our Social Security. Cost of living maybe, but it's not a reality. So anytime you're having a tax increase for whatever, I would just like you to really review that before you approve it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Scotty McClure.
Oh, it's past my bedtime. You've already started the clock on that, Laura? Oh, I'll tell you what. Scotty from Bullhead. Well, you know, I wasn't going to bring this up in my, whatever. There's a bunch of crooks running that airport, and you know it. You need to figure it out and do something about it. Rick wants to put 2 more mouthpieces on that board. I think they should be, if you're going to put somebody on from the board and the Bullhead City, subtract a couple of their members. Don't add any more mouthpieces down there. It's bad enough. We ain't got that many beds in prison. Fix a thing. Going to the Senate, what are we going to talk to Hildy when she's part of the problem? Why didn't she bring this up in 2012, 2000, whenever? Buster Johnson was on there for 28, 30 years. You need to go and get people like Matt Laughlin or his father. I don't know if he's got anything to tell us or not, but we need to go back 50 years. The last time I took an airplane out of there was back in 85. I don't like flying. I could care less about the airport. But I don't like the taxpayer getting screwed. But there's something smelly down there. And we're getting screwed because we're not collecting the right rent. The more you drag this out, the less money we're going to get that is ours legally. We should be getting more money down there than $1 a year. The longer you string this out, that's less money. Sam's Club should be paying a mint down there, let alone the other properties. Okay. You got a problem with sap and those trees at the library. You get out and you got sap all over the place with those stupid trees you got down there. They provide zero shade. They're the ones with the needles on them, whatever. It's just continuous sap on the ground there. You need to put some shade trees down there, especially for the people that work there. When they get out of their cars at 5 and 6 at night, you know how hot it is in Bullhead. How about painting the pavement down there with cool pavement? You know, like paint it white They're doing that in Phoenix. They've done over 150 miles, and if you do that gun thing with the temperature thing on it, it's 10 or 12 degree difference. Those people that work there, and they, like I say, they get out. You go to your car, and it's like pure hell down there.
Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you, Jennifer Esposito, once again. Okay, first I would like to address Mr. Hultry's statement that at that Building Code Advisory Board that they provided 3 recommendations. That's not correct. They provided 3 options. But if you go back and you review the meeting, Mr. Hultry says very clearly, staff recommends that you choose this option. So staff did sandbag you. It is what it is. I was at the most recent Mojave County Republican Central Committee meeting, and Supervisor Gold was there as well, so he can vouch for this. Supervisor Borelli, you were there. Why do we need 3 sheriff's deputies to babysit a room full of gun-toting Republicans that have never had to call for civil standby? I mean, you know, I reported in my newspaper, and it's online at MojaveFreePress.com. If you put in crime statistics to the search engine, Mojave County has the highest crime rate in the state of Arizona for property crime and things like that. So yet somehow we had such a surplus of sheriff's deputies that we could afford to send 3 of them to babysit a meeting for approximately 2.5 hours. I just found that very odd. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to file a public records request to find out who requested that civil standby and what kind of absurd basis they made that proclamation on, because I know people who've tried to get civil standbys on things in the past where they felt that there was more of a likelihood that some event might happen, something that would warrant 1, let alone 3. But I just, since, you know, you guys just gave the sheriff's office raises and, you know, we hear all the time, oh, we're so short-staffed, we need money, but we've got deputies to spare that don't need to be out on the street looking for crime in the highest crime county in Arizona. So I just wanted to make sure that you were all aware that that took place. And then the last thing that I wanted to say was regarding those GVID water allotments. You know, there are 402 left. Okay, if this development was outside of the GVID, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So you can't even contemplate putting any development within GVID until this board has made some kind of way to address the water allotment issue. You can't build 3,000 or 4,000 houses with 402 allotments. But the problem is if you sell all those allotments to one developer and they start there and then they try and petition for more allotments, anyone in that GVID who owns property like myself can't then subdivide their property and sell it off because you can't sell it with the ability to get water. You're selling something on permanent water haul and you're devaluing the property of the people who live there. Thank you.
Thank you, board. We are adjourned.